clever bug. The Conversation. Curses.
Hello, and welcome to the Kongversation. I'm Hyle Russell.
And I'm Cameron Reigle.
And this has gone a bit longer than we initially planned, Cameron.
A bit.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, we started the Star Fox Assault Spotlight episode. Was it 3 years ago now? It feels like it's been a while. Yeah, definitely Star Fox was the biggest thing happening when we started this. And now we are barreling down Stinky Ape Summer. And we've got lots of potential stuff about to break open. And we've got to get this done. We've got to get this Spotlight series done this episode, Cameron. There's no more wiggle room. It has to end tonight.
Yeah. Well, I can't imagine there will be too much more to talk about. You know, we covered a lot of the game last time. Let's see what's first on the shit.
Oh, no. Mission 6, Saria, reunion. Oh, no. My favorite part of the Star Fox mythology. So this is pretty much, I mean, we would still be talking about Star Fox Assault. We would still be covering it here at DK Vine if Crystal was the only thing carrying over from Star Fox Adventures, from Rare's brief tenure shepherding the series, and from their own Dinosaur Planet mythology, which, in quite convoluted fashion, started life as a Diddy Kong Racing lore follow-up. It's still a bit unclear exactly what Dino Island would have been. Would it have been a prequel or a direct sequel? We know Tricky was involved, and it was his relationship with Timber that, of course, then evolved into an extraterrestrial planet and an extraterrestrial feline named Saber, which, of course, then became Fox McCloud. But Tricky stayed the same, Cameron. Tricky was the one consistent element from the earliest days of Dino Island all the way to Star Fox Adventures. And because of that, we adore the character of Tricky. And we have a lot of high-minded ideas about Tricky that most people have no idea even exist. As in, he was kind of a boss in Diddy Kong Racing. And we say that they are the same character. So, you know, Star Fox Assault, we were always going to talk about it on DK Vine. It was always going to be a game that was going to be part of our coverage, part of what we classify as the DKU, because of the Crystal connection and because it's a follow-up to Star Fox Adventures. However, the most surprising thing to me at the time this game was new was that we actually did return to the so-called Dinosaur Planet. And I'm not talking about the other one. I'm not talking about, was it Fortuna?
Yeah, it was Fortuna.
Dinosaur. Yeah. I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about the retcon Dinosaur Planet, which is retconned in this as Saria.
Yeah, this sort of confusing roundabout retcon where this was the name it was originally going to have in Dinosaur Planet. Bafflingly not used in Star Fox Adventures, but brought back.
Yeah. And I don't know why people say this is confusing. You know, it's pretty simple to me, Cameron. There was a planet called Fortuna that was called the Dinosaur Planet in the original Star Fox instruction manual. And then Rare was also making a game called Dinosaur Planet, which was actually a sequel or prequel to Diddy Kong Racing, called Dino Island at one time. It's going to star Timber the Tiger, but Timber the Tiger is cursed, so therefore they introduced a new character named Saber. But they kept the character of Tricky, who is now an extraterrestrial Earthwalker instead of just a Triceratops. And then, of course, Nintendo said, hey, that looks like a Star Fox game. We want a Star Fox game like that. Make it a Star Fox game. And Rare was like, ka-ching. But some people on the team were like, but our Dinosaur Planet. But anyway, it was okay. It was basically the same game with some concessions made towards the end. And then Tricky became a Star Fox character, but we still maintain he is the Diddy Kong Racing character. And this makes the entirety of Star Fox a prequel to the Donkey Kong series. I don't see why it's confusing. And quite frankly, I think people are just being willfully obtuse when they refuse to see it. But let's talk about Saria and why we are returning. So, brief recap, Cameron. What happened to get us here?
Right, so when we last left off, Pigma had mutated into this horrifying space abomination, thanks to being assimilated by the Aparoids, and we blew him up, and Star Fox recovered the core memory he had stolen, which is the key to learning more about the Aparoids and ultimately taking them down. A lot of this plot really has just been completely set back by Pigma throwing a wrench into everything.
Going back over this with you, I forgot, or I never really absorbed, how the first half of the game is just like a Benny Hill chase with Pigma. And
in having to structure these episodes, I really did become aware this game would be so much shorter if not for basically 2 rogue elements being introduced.
Yeah. Yeah. And the whole thing with Pigma, it's fun. It's great. And Pigma itself, his kind of final fate is, of course, very memorable, very striking. It sticks with you. But whenever I think back to Star Fox Assault, I'm really thinking about Mission 6 to the end of the game, because these 6 missions are where the bulk of, I think, the story, the action, and really the horror of what is befalling the Lylat system is really hammered home. This is where, as they did not say back in 2005, Star Fox Assault cooks. And I think this is, for anyone who never got this far in the game, you deprived yourself. You kind of were the meme of the person like digging through the rock and stopping right before they reach the jewels. This is where the game really gets good.
At the very least, I think this might be the height of it doing something cool and new with Star Fox as an IP, kind of unifying what had, up until this point, felt like pretty disparate parts of it into a satisfying whole. Yeah,
for sure. And this mission to Saria, I will read the mission briefing on the loading screen. Mission 6, Liberate Saria. Saria has been invaded by Aparoids. The denizens of the planet are fighting back, but all reports indicate that they are losing. The Star Fox team has been sent to Saria, defeat the Aparoids, and return peace to the planet. So,
right.
Yeah.
And we learned this because Crystal receives a telepathic distress call in the middle of this sort of congratulatory meeting with Pepper that they're really going to take it to the Aparoids. They know about the Queen, take her out, the rest will follow, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it all gets derailed by this sudden intrusion of, hey, we remembered Star Fox Adventures exists. And this is kind of cool because we know Crystal was brought to Dinosaur Planet in Star Fox Adventures because she received a distress call, and this is bringing that back.
Yeah. Yeah, there's always been an unexplained connection between Crystal and perhaps the people of Cernia, her home planet that was destroyed by Andross's ghost, or it's implied, and the people of Saria, Dinosaur Planet, perhaps the Krazoa. We don't really know what the connection is. It will probably never be explained unless we get a Donkey Kong Bonanza-esque Star Fox game sometime in the future that celebrates the full history of the franchise. And
oh no, I don't want to collect Dinosaur Planet fossils. That has bad implications.
But yeah, I do like that Crystal is kind of maintain this link to Dinosaur Planet, or Saria as we'll be calling it probably from here on out. And I also like that it took halfway through the game for this to really come up. Saria and kind of directly following up on aspects of Star Fox Adventures. I think that, it doesn't lead with this, and that's not going to be off-putting to the people who were being all, like, standoffish towards Adventures for not being a traditional Star Fox game or anti-rare bias or whatever. But if they're this far in the game, they're probably invested. And it's like, oh yeah, here you go. You have to confront the stuff you hate. Meanwhile, those of us who love Star Fox Adventures and were already won over, this kind of reminds me a little bit of Bonanza. Like Bonanza won me over on its own merits before it really got lost in the sauce of Donkey Kong stuff. And it's kind of the same thing. I'm like, all right, I'm on board Star Fox Assault, and what? We're going back to Saria? Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's really smart of the game to deploy this at the precise moment it does. It doesn't really up until this point, even though Star Fox Adventures is very firmly canon into this adventure, Crystal was integrated into the team, there's not really a lot of dwelling on expositing, hey, remember when we did this? We met you here. Andros was on the back of a big Krazoa head. Wasn't that weird? They don't bring up Tricky until this moment.
Yeah.
It's really cool, and it makes the world feel a little bit more real to me.
Yeah, it's cool to see a lot of this Dinosaur Planet stuff, this rare era stuff that was conceived independently of Star Fox, integrated more fully into the broader Lylat system and the more, I don't know, military structure of General Pepper and the Cornerian defense, and just we're kind of seeing it now through this expanded peephole rather than the very narrow vision we had of it by design of Star Fox Adventures.
And it is very much an uncompromised integration of Saria into the greater fabric of Star Fox. There's not, aside from the name, there's not really a lot of retconning going on, soft or otherwise, and to kind of just make that abundantly clear from the outset, the very first thing we see in this briefing cutscene are photos of dead or dying Thorntails infected by the Aparoids.
Yes. Oh wait, that's anyway, it's not appropriate.
This is a real Banjo-Tooie Spiral Mountain execution of Thorntail Hollow.
Yeah, so this process of the Aparoids infecting the bodies of living organisms, what is it called again? I'm gonna botch it.
Aparoididation, and the reason we have to use that clunky word is because it is on screen in these images.
Aparoididation. Jeez, I'm not gonna get that right. That's one syllable too many, Cameron. Yeah, it's horrifying to see Thorntails with this glowing embryonic insectoid growing in its esophagus or upper respiratory system. It's what?
I think it's made all the more striking by, even though I know they aren't exactly models ripped straight out of Star Fox Adventures, they do just look like the Thorntails in Star Fox Adventures. They don't look redesigned or anything. This is just a visual you have come to know with a lot of familiarity in the last game, made twisted and uncomfortable. It's pretty striking.
Yeah, for those who never played Adventures, Thorntail Hollow is basically the starting area and kind of the central hub when you're not on any of the ancillary floating bits that have broken off the planet. So you are quite familiar with Thorntail Hollow. You'll be returning to it again and again throughout Star Fox Adventures. And so the Thorntails kind of represent a safe space a little bit. It's kind of the place where Fox camps, camps with his R-Wing, and it's where Shabunga's store is, and where Tricky's mother was like convalescing, and
one of the few places not really actively under siege.
Yeah, it's
by the Sharp Claw,
where the warp stone is. So to see the Thorntails in this state, it does kind of immediately elevate the stakes and that feeling of apprehension for anybody who's coming into this an Adventures fan.
Yeah. And unfortunately, this is another cutscene where breaking the animation ruined what they were trying to do in the Japanese version, because you look at Fox in these cutscenes, he is at first shocked, and then I think the maddest I have ever seen him.
Right. Even madder than when General Pepper wouldn't let him take his blaster.
And they also do a very smart setting this up in advance with this mission. They don't really have to dwell on what you are going to have to do, which is taking out a bunch of Aparoid hatchers while also managing the sky and ground forces so they don't overwhelm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, mostly the sky, but anyway, I'm flubbing that. The reason I bring that up is because this is what we did in Sargasso.
Yeah. So that was almost training for what we are going to experience here, like on the surface of Saria.
Right.
And this is really cool too, because this is where Crystal, it really feels like she is the co-lead of this world or this mission, and for obvious reasons. But you also have to keep in mind that Crystal was originally going to have a much bigger role in Dinosaur Planet. She was the co-lead. And then when it became Star Fox Adventures, she kind of became both a damsel in distress and sort of a MacGuffin that really didn't serve any role beyond the prologue and then the very last scene in the game. So to have her take a more proactive role on Saria alongside Fox, it's nice to see.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's unfortunate that, and this isn't a unique problem for this level, anytime Star Fox Assault's single-player campaign assigns you like an on-foot partner, narratively it's significant, but in gameplay they just sort of stand around in their one little corner of the level shooting.
Yeah.
But ignoring that, it is really fun to pair Fox and Crystal up on this on-foot mission together, especially when Crystal has been like dropping hints earlier in the game that she does want to do an on-foot mission with Fox.
Right.
And there is this cute interaction in the briefing where they're kind of both like awkwardly flirting to each other about it. Fox gets kind of flustered. It's again the animation kind of ruins this. The Japanese version makes it a little bit clearer what's going on from Crystal's end, because I remember playing this game. I think part of why people sometimes play this game and come away with the opinion that Crystal's character is still pretty undefined is that a lot of her lines can just be taken at face value if you don't have the body language.
Sure.
And yeah, in this cutscene, you kind of see her go through like a range of emotions saying, "Oh, a mission together at last," where it seems like she kind of realizes that she's being overly forward with Fox in this very serious situation and like sort of catches herself and puts on a serious face. Or she's realizing that, well, Fox isn't really taking the bait. He's just kind of standing there flustered and wasting time.
Fox, what if we kissed over the Aparoided Thorntails?
How do you say JK on Lesson, Saurian?
All right. Well, what about the mission itself? Once we get down to the planets,
So this one is kind of odd to talk about in the context of where this is on Saria and what's familiar, because this is this seems to be just a completely unseen area of Soria that can't be defined as like, oh, this is part of Thorntail Hollow, this is part of Cloudrunner Fortress, it's part of the walled city. It rides this very cool line where it's unmistakably a Star Fox Adventures environment without being any one place from it.
Yeah.
It reminds me kind of how, and this was also something I liked in Smash Brothers Melee, how both Jungle Japes and Congo Jungle weren't really one-to-one locations from any Donkey Kong game, but they felt like they could be.
Sure. I always took this, and I remember trying to figure out like which dinosaur tribe this area belonged to, and my rationale headcanon even, because it looks like we're up in the mountains, in some mountainous area we never traversed in Star Fox Adventures. And so in my brain, I was like, this looks most closely like Earthwalker architecture, like the walled city. So maybe this is some sort of Earthwalker encampment in the mountains.
Yeah, by the needs of the gameplay, this is an area that's kind of like a valley within a cliffside mountain. So it's bookended on two sides by steep cliffs, steep insurmountable cliffs, and the other sides are steep drops with waterfalls running off.
Yeah.
And the architecture, I tried to see if I could make any sense of it, because it just seemed like it's not really tied to any one dinosaur tribe. It is very similar to Walled City by virtue of being a bunch of temple-style buildings. But I also kind of wonder if maybe you could interpret this as sort of a part of where like the Thorntail population exists that is apart from what we saw in Thorntail Hollow.
Perhaps.
Because it does seem a lot more aged and decayed, and there's a lot of like very ancient civilization style iconography that doesn't really sync up with anything actually in Adventures.
Yeah.
Except for a very cool little set piece right near the start. There is an underground cave full of helpful weapons and healing items, and it resembles all of these staff upgrade caves.
Yeah, I was really surprised to stumble in there, and I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I remember like looking at the walls and trying to like see if like any of the familiar like emblems from Star Fox Adventures, like the scarabs were anywhere, and you know, there's stuff, if you squint, you can say, I could maybe see that, you know.
Yeah,
but
there's like a weird scarab-like design in here, but it doesn't really match up to anything or even really look like a real scarab.
But I never thought we traversed the entirety of Dinosaur Planet or Soria in Star Fox Adventures. I mean, that's kind of impossible unless it's really, really small. So I was always kind of under the impression that this was just an unseen area that they fled to, that in the new era of Soria, post Star Fox Adventures, I assume a lot of the tribes have better relations with each other. And, you know, maybe if it was the Earthwalkers, given what we will later see at the end of this mission, like maybe the Earthwalkers helped try to shepherd as many dinosaurs to this location as possible. And, you know, the Aparoids were still attacking them. But, yeah, you know, it's one of those things where it doesn't break anything in the canon, so you just have to use your imagination a little bit. And, you know, what's the simplest rationale for where they are, and it's fine.
Yeah, I always enjoy when world building paints the picture that this setting is more than what you see.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, again, I too many people expect just spoon-fed answers in their media nowadays, and sometimes not knowing is part of the fun, because you can just fill in the blanks yourself, and it's a lot more satisfying that way. It's a lot more personable to kind of have your own ideas about how things fit. Because the truth is, they don't. It's all made up. It's all just imagination anyway.
I would love to know how closely Namco and Nintendo, if at all, worked with Rare on this, because it kind of feels like this is as best as you can possibly get if you maybe don't have a lot of their resources to lean on. And it's impressively so.
Yeah, I doubt there was any direct communication with them post-buyout. But if there was
or even just like access to their archival resources.
Yeah. I mean, obviously Nintendo would have some of that on hand, and maybe even some notes were passed pre-buyout when Namco started development of this, even before they decided how much was going to carry over from Adventures into this new Star Fox game they were developing.
Right, and we knew Imamura was a supervisor on both projects.
Yeah.
The timeline doesn't really line up where it seems like Rare really could have communicated to them at all. But again, all the more impressive that they kind of just nail making a very Star Fox Adventures environment. The music track here isn't like an arrangement of anything from Star Fox Adventures, at least as near as I could tell, but it is a very like Star Fox-esque interpretation, I think, of what you might expect from a level like this. That's also cool.
Yeah, like it's not any David Wise-esque track, but it fits Star Fox Assault. I think anything that's even working in motifs from Adventures might be a little distracting, given just how Star Fox Assault is a lot more traditionally a Star Fox game, and, you know, I don't know if the synth and, like, world music of David Wise would really fit here in this context.
Right, and it's also just fun to give another piece of, identity to Soria that can exist within this game itself.
Yeah, it kind of future-proofs Soria for all of its later appearances.
Speaking of new things, there is one little oddity in this level, and it's going to be hard to convey in audio, but I spotted this, and I felt like I just had to bring it to attention, Hyle.
Okay.
So a lot of these injured/dead Thorntails dot the landscape in actual gameplay. They're not just in that still image during the briefing, but there is also this green sauropod type dinosaur that does not match up with anything we saw in Star Fox Adventures. It's like a kind of traditional, like Apatosaurus, Brontosaurus type design, but with like the Thorntail-esque like scales on the back. Who are these guys?
I took this and I kind of just like hand waved it away because this is an intense mission, and like for once I wasn't really navel gazing as much as I usually do. But I think my idea was this is a reimagined or like juvenile high top.
I did think of the high tops. They are like the closest equivalent to this type of dinosaur in Star Fox Adventures, but as said in their name, they are very large.
Yeah, but
I do think that works as a possibility. I think it could also just be a type of dinosaur that exists on Soria that we just didn't see in Star Fox Adventures because they weren't involved.
We did
kind of like how we get velociraptors in the Test of Fear and nowhere else.
And then there is that like weird errant dinosaur species working with the Cloud Runners. I believe they're called boneheads or something like that. And it's like the one who is not a pterodon. He's like wingless.
Yeah.
And I think it's just the player's guide calls them like boneheads or something. But there's no other context for it. So like Soria is a lot more robust than even we see in Adventures. And yeah, there can be other dinosaur tribes who just don't partake in the drama as much. And I mean, even in Adventures, like we barely interacted with the high tops or anything. So it's possible. And maybe this is an offshoot of the high tops.
Yeah. And speaking of the other tribes, we don't really see any of the other tribes, but we do get some call-outs in the mid-level dialogue because, they've really run with the idea that, you might think Saria is kind of a square peg in a round hole in the rest of the Star Fox universe, this tranquil, peaceful planet that you don't even want to bring a blaster to. And yeah, it's because when you bring a space fight to this planet, everybody dies.
Yeah,
So,
remember, Cameron, you and I were talking about this. Oh, God, I mean, it might have been over a decade ago at this point, and it stuck with me. You said Saria gets curb stomped in this game. And God, that is true. I like, we're about to see another planet really get it, but I think Saria bears the brunt of the Aparoids invasion in Star Fox Assault.
yeah, there's a lot of mid-level chatter about, like, Crystal wondering if Tricky's folk are okay. Peppy theorizes that they probably, like, sought shelter. At one point, I think it's Slippy says it looks like even the Sharp Claw tribe has been wiped out.
How would you know that, Slippy? Like,
I don't know how he would know that, but that does make sense because they are the closest thing to like an anthropomorphic militarized force.
Yeah.
On Saria. So if anybody would, see the Aparoids show out and come out with their clubs, it would be them. But of course, they're not going to stand a chance. They couldn't stand a chance against Fox with a magic stick.
Yeah. Now, we did see the last of them in Star Fox Adventures, a contingent celebrating atop Krazoa Palace because General Scales was dead or whatever, and like they were holding up his belt in celebration.
Yeah.
So it was the very DKU kind of, oh, the enemies weren't actually that antagonistic, they just had poor leadership, and now they've kind of potentially turned face or tweener, and like I could see the Sharp Claws being like on this redemptive run, being like, we'll keep everybody safe, and then just getting got immediately.
Yeah, I like to think that it was just the ones that happened to be on the front lines before Star Fox arrived. I don't want to think the Sharp Claw are just completely gone for good. But that is a very loaded sentence.
I think a lot of them could be gone for good for reasons that we'll talk about once we get to the end of mission cinematic. But,
yeah. I know it, like, just kind of driving the point home, if you play this level long enough, there's even an errant line you can get from Slippy where he just, in frustration, shouts, this planet is totally defenseless.
How is it possible that a bunch of dinosaurs without opposable thumbs can't raise up an army? Yeah, it really does make you feel, though, because maybe it's emotionally manipulative of the game, because it's really taking you back to this location you grew to care about in Star Fox Adventures, and now it's just like they're getting decimated one after another, and you've got to stop it. You've got to stop it, Fox. Come on, faster. So it does really put a fire under you, the player, if you have any empathy towards fictional dinosaurs that you've spent a lot of time with. You will actually like want to clear out the Aparoids. But yeah, it almost seems, Cameron, like this was a perfect emotional trap for Team Star Fox.
Yeah, absolutely. A trick. Fuck the segue. Let's just talk about Tricky.
Let's talk about Tricky! Woo, he's back, everyone! So I obviously knew Tricky was going to be in the game before I even played it, because there were promotional images of Tricky. They had a render of Fox running with Tricky from this game. So it was like, okay, we know he's in there. What's the context? And so we were kind of pumped about this. And for however brief he appears, because he just appears in this one little cinematic scene, he doesn't actually get involved in the mission itself. He doesn't stick around after this. But I, like, feasted off of this. This was a meal, Cameron.
Yeah, in a shocking, like, diversion from the norm for me nowadays because I feel like I just kind of get spoiled on everything. I was shocked that I didn't just see K. Rool in Bonanza before I got there. But I had no idea when I started Star Fox Assault that this was coming.
Oh wow!
I don't even think at the time I knew Saria was in the game. So Tricky here was a complete surprise to me, and because of that, I do really love the adorable way they stage this cutscene of Tricky's reunion with Fox and Crystal, hence the title of the mission.
Yeah.
Where Fox and Crystal are just kind of luxuriating in the splendor of Saria now that there's a calm moment and the Aparoids have been driven off. And they see Tricky coming in the distance, and we see this from Tricky's POV as Fox beckons him over like a little dog. And then the camera flips to reveal Tricky is sort of doing like the jump into your arms move of a dog when you first come home, except Tricky is now enormous and promptly crushes Fox underfoot.
Yeah, so this is teenage Tricky. Tricky has aged. He has had a massive growth spurt since we last left him in Star Fox Adventures. Here's for chronology, everybody. Here's for aging up characters. I mean, this is the DKU standard, and it's actually been applied to Star Fox here.
Yeah, and this was explicitly in the manual only a year-long gap, so if you hadn't been spoiled on this, you could just believe that Tricky would be the exact same size he was in Adventures.
Yeah.
So this is a fun little wrinkle to that. Might say a little bit about how the dinosaurs in Dinosaur Planet age.
Yeah.
But
he's about the size of an adult Earthwalker, like maybe a little bit smaller, but he definitely has a teenage voice. It's got like, he's cracking. He's not fully deepened and matured yet. So he's still got that like little bit of a childish like mirth to his voice, but it's obviously not Kev Bayless.
No, it is Chet Morgan, again, another actor I couldn't really find any credits for, but this is very much a squeaky voiced teen version of Tricky, and it is remarkably buyable as this in-between for how he sounded in Adventures and how he sounded in Diddy Kong Racing.
I couldn't believe that, and I think I even posted about that on the DK Vine forum when I was replaying this in 2011. I was like, Teen Tricky sounds like the exact in-between state of Star Fox Adventures Tricky and Diddy Kong Racing Tricky. And that's not intentional. I think it's just splitting a difference between two different Kev Bayless voices. And oh yeah, that's how he would sound. But it's great. It's perfect for our purposes because we're like, see?
Also added it to his design is he still has his sort of like anklets that he did in Star Fox Adventures, but he's also got this new headdress, and I hadn't really thought about this until doing the notes for this episode, but this sort of thing he's wearing is almost like a halfway point between the ornamental, like, sort of crown jewelry the King and Queen Earthwalker were wearing in Star Fox Adventures, but it's also very reminiscent of the reinforced, like, body armor style, reinforced, like, sort of plating that the rank and file Earthwalkers and Adventures were wearing.
Yeah.
And I kind of love that because I kind of view that, and my interpretation of it is, maybe Fox, like, traveling with Fox rubbed off on Tricky, and he's not, when he took over ruling the Earthwalkers, which I'm getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, that he decided he didn't want to be a very hands-off king, and he is, like, the type of royal to not just leave military action to his subordinates. He is there on the front lines in active combat, which is cool for him.
I mean, remember, even though it was kind of done is kind of like giving the honorary sheriff's badge to the kid. He was made an honorary member of Team Star Fox by Fox, and I think Tricky is the kind of person, like, he's not Dwight Schrute. He wouldn't like overinflate what that means, but I think he does have that spirit of adventure and that kind of sense of not vigilante. I mean, I guess they are vigilantes, but that sense of like justice and I have to do what's right kind of attitude.
Right.
Where he's not a sheltered royal, he's actually going to get out there with his people and fight.
Right, it's a sense of duty. Fox giving him the little Star Fox team badge wasn't just an empty gesture to him. He really did seem to take that to heart. And to the point, we have a cut to a new scene where Fox and Crystal are riding on Tricky's back, and Tricky professes that if Fox is going to fight the Aparoids, he wants to go with.
Yeah.
And it's this very adorable interaction between the two, where I think it's not said outright, but Fox realizes, like, well, you can't really help in this, Tricky. You're not even bipedal.
Yeah.
We don't have an R-wing you can fly.
Yeah, unless you challenge them all to races, I don't think it's going to work.
And instead, Fox kind of like cutely brushes it off, I think, by saying, like, I'm leaving Soria in your care, which I'm taking as like, well, no, you can't come with, but I'm giving you an order as a member of Star Fox, and this is your mission. You're to defend the home front on Soria.
Yeah.
And that's cute. I like that.
And that's also kind of a clue, because it's not outright stated that Tricky is king, but he is referred to kind of as much as they can without stating that his parents are dead by saying, you're the leader here now, Tricky. And the way I always took this is that Tricky's parents were like some of the earliest casualties in the Aparoid assault on Soria. And Tricky has kind of become king relatively recently, kind of thrust into it unexpectedly. And like that is the state we have like met back up with him.
Yeah.
In this very new kind of circumstance where he hasn't even had time to process the death of his parents.
Yeah, it's left open-ended, but the implications aren't good for Tricky's parents. Like, the most optimistic interpretation is maybe they abdicated the throne sometime before the attack, but and in Adventures they do talk about, like, at least his mom talks about Tricky making a fine king.
Yeah.
So maybe it's on their mind, but
I don't think it was forecasted to happen as soon as it did. So Tricky's not in any sense of morose mourning here, but I do think what the easiest, simplest explanation you can walk away is that either his parents were aparoided or they got like blown up or whatever by the bugs. And you know, that's kind of bleak considering how we got to know them in Star Fox Adventures, but I think it does also sell the consequences of what has happened to Soria in this game a little bit more than just a bunch of faceless Thorntails and maybe a High Top and the Sharp Claw getting really impacted. I think like actually knowing two of the dinosaurs who perished helped sell what has just happened. And
this is a game that has not hesitated to go there, quote unquote.
Right, we've already killed off Pigma, so what are two minor characters in the grand stakes of things, characters from Star Fox Adventures as well? It's equal opportunity who it's killing off in this game. But, you know, coupled with how Tricky's story ended in Star Fox Adventures, where Tricky was like, do I get my own spaceship? And you really got this sense of like, I want to go explore the stars. And now he is left as king in a planet that has gone through 2 seismic attacks on it over the span of a year. So I think this kind of helps set up what we have always argued and what Rare later just rolled with on their social channels as the eventual fate of a lot of the population of Saria, that they migrated to the planet Earth, to Timbers Island, to Dino Domain. Tricky actually, in his role as King Earthwalker, said, "We're leaving." we're basically, you could stay if you want, everyone, but a bunch of us are getting on this spaceship, on this arc, and we're sailing the stars, and we're looking for a new home away from Andros and the Aparoids and whatever else is going to attack us.
Thank goodness we're finally safe from pigs that ruin things for everyone.
Well, yeah, my thing is maybe they took the same wormhole that maybe Wizpig takes. Maybe Wizpig is from the Lylat System. Maybe Future Funland is in the Lylat System. It would make all the sense in the world, wouldn't it?
And of course, closing out this scene, we get this kind of cute interaction where Tricky says, asserts, yeah, he'll take care of Saria so that Fox and Crystal can come back on their honeymoon. Flusters Fox, and Crystal is just kind of laughing to herself about it. She's not really taken aback by the comment, but I think she just thinks it's very funny that Fox is.
You know, I'm like, what the hell is wrong with Fox? Okay, you have landed a knockout, empathetic, awesome, kick-ass girlfriend, and you're like, oh, marriage? Like, shut up. Like, why are you so, like, I don't know, why are you acting like such a child, Fox?
It's a rare moment where his performance kind of breaks into the Fox I know in this game, where I remember, oh yeah, Fox is just, he doesn't have it all together. He can be a little pathetic sometimes.
Yeah, which I like. I mean, I'm not saying that is a bad trait, but I'm like, come on, Fox. What the hell, man? Like, we've always said we like Diddy and Dixie because they're just a surprisingly zero drama couple who realize what they've got. And yeah, they can have their little issues now and then, like Donkey Kong Land 3, but for the most part, they like have a mutual respect. I actually think Command does a good job about like exploring their relationship a little bit more. Even though people don't really like where it took it, I do think that like I get a better understanding of like why Fox is as standoffish in this game towards Crystal as he is.
Yeah, they definitely lay some groundwork to work with in the future, and I like this excerpt from, again, the Nintendo Dream interview that I think I mispronounced them last time, but Shmuplations has hosted on their site. There's this exchange with Yutaka Yoshida, the director, and Tsuyoshi Kobayashi, the producer, both from Namco, where they say, even for us, the developers, it was a cool moment where we realized, oh yeah, that's the kind of character Fox is. That's Yoshida and Kobayashi. Crystal is actually a much more relaxed, worldly character in that sense compared to Fox.
Yeah. I mean, it would make sense. Crystal has had a big life prior to the events of Star Fox Adventures, and I think being telepathic just gives you greater insight, where Fox is very much kind of a stunted man-child. And no matter how heroic he is essentially just a little bit pathetic at times.
She seems a lot more able to go with the flow than Fox is, and that's a cool dynamic between the two.
And it's just such a nice moment between the three characters, because again, Crystal doesn't interact with Tricky at all in Star Fox Adventures. So that's really cool that they get a little moment together. Like, they know each other. And
maybe they had a little off-screen like interaction after the end we saw of Star Fox Adventures. I like to think that. Yeah,
but it is nice to see the three of them together. It's very much a little coda to Star Fox Adventures and sort of what Rare contributed to the franchise. And I love it. I absolutely, like, that made the whole game for me. And then it didn't really matter what the game did after that. I was kind of satisfied. I was like, ooh, yeah, we got a reunion with Tricky. Kind of sets up Diddy Kong Racing if you're a weirdo like me. Yeah, all right, this game is awesome. What next?
Star Fox Adventures happened and it mattered.
Yes, yes.
And yeah, we get this very sweet, like, sort of sitcom-y, everybody laughs ending to the last mission.
Freeze frame, audience applauds. Yeah. End credits. What's happening next week on Star Fox Assault?
Awfulness is happening.
Before we get into it, I want to say hello to the live stream because we are kind of speeding through as fast as we can to get through everything this episode. But we got Me Muppet in there, Traveler of the Stars, Malik is in the house, and Traveler of the Stars says, it's really strange how Rare intended her to have such a big spot and then went such a polar opposite direction. I think that's just the Star Fox shift. I think it was just one of those things where now we're making a Star Fox game. Now Fox McCloud is the star of it. Let's tighten up what we had planned. I wouldn't say it was for the best, but I understand the idea behind it.
Yeah, I sympathize with the choice. I wish they hadn't made it, but I also know how sort of eaten alive Star Fox Adventures was for daring to be as different as it was.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine how much worse that would have been if 50% of the game was spent playing as a brand new character.
A brand new character who's a girl. I mean, even in 2002, there were a lot of people weird about that sort of thing. There
were people weird about it with Perfect Dark.
Yeah, yeah.
It's really unfortunate.
Donkey Kong Country 2, if I was ever weird about that due to social pressures, Donkey Kong Country 2 beat that out of me, and thank God it did. It made me a better person because I was like, oh, Dixie's awesome. Okay. I don't care what people say. And, once you realize it doesn't matter, once you stop trying to be what other people want you to be because of their own hang-ups and insecurities, everything's so much better in life. Everything tastes sweeter. Life lesson from a early 40s gamer there. All right, let's talk about some bad shit.
Yep. Mission 7, Corneria, War Comes Home. Yeah, I'll just read the description here, because it's pretty to the point. Mission 7, recapture the Cornerian capital. Aparoids have launched a large-scale attack on the capital city of Corneria, using electromagnetic barrier devices to disrupt communications between General Pepper and his commanding officers. Mop up the barrier devices and create a window for the rescue of the capital. So yeah. It turns out that the Aparoid attack on Soria wasn't just because Aparoids are going to attack planets. That's their thing. It was a deliberate act of emotional manipulation so they would have their eyes elsewhere and not on Corneria, where they launched a full-scale assault.
Yeah, when I said that Soria got the worst of it, it's really only probably in casualties and their inability to defend themselves. Corneria probably gets the worst of it in sheer destruction, in sheer damage, in sheer spectacle. And
there's a lot more stuff on fire in Corneria than there was on Soria.
There's a lot more flammable stuff on Corneria, to be fair. But yeah, it's also kind of cool that we don't go to Corneria until the 7th mission in the game.
Yeah, this landmark location from Star Fox 64 and Star Fox on the SNES before it. And it's really cool to come back here because it's a new way of seeing this familiar location that really fleshes it out in a way a game like Star Fox 64 really can't as an on-rail shooter on the N64. So yeah, as part of this assault on Corneria, as said in the description, they've disabled communication between General Pepper and his commanding officers. It screws up Star Fox's radar. in the process of briefing them on what's happened, they lose connection with General Pepper. Something's gone wrong. Something has happened to him. And when Fox lands planetside on Corneria, as said, the city is in flames. There are Aparoids everywhere. And there are infected Cornerian troops marching through the streets.
Like, this has gone from Starship Troopers to, like, V. Like, this has gone to Invasion of the Body Snatchers territory now.
Yeah, it's probably this is like edging to as creepy as this is allowed to get, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it really does just, you feel the full force of what the Aparoids are capable of here and the lengths they're willing to go to, and how militarized they've become based on what they picked up from probably what they learned from Pigma, and also just having more exposure to like Cornerian tech, the tech from Andros's army, from Andrew's little failed uprising.
Yeah.
And I have to think some part of them also learned to be devious and cruel from watching Pigma.
I learned it from watching you.
At least specifically in ways that would get the go to the Star Fox team.
Yeah. That is what is really cool about the Aparoids, because they start off and they're just bugs. They're just big bugs, like I said, like Starship Troopers, kind of just marauding swarms of insects, which is still kind of terrifying, and it's still very different from anything we'd seen in Star Fox up until that point. But they grow as the game goes on, and they start incorporating technology a little bit more. They start being manipulative. They start concocting plans. They're outmaneuvering both Team Star Fox and the Cornerian defense. And it's just really cool at this point to see how dangerous the Aparoids truly are. You're really feeling it now that, oh, we are not just facing this mindless swarm of locusts. We are facing something that is evolving before our eyes.
Yeah, even subtly, I didn't really think I picked up. I don't think I picked up on this until doing research for this episode. It's not just the Cornerian ground troops. Your teammates are scrambling in the skies, and the enemies attacking them are Aparoid corrupted Cornerian gunships.
Nice.
Like the ones that we saw in Katina in Star Fox 64.
I love the design of the Aparoid, I can't say, Cornerian ground forces, because they're like some sort of canines, but they've got this the military gear on, but they've got these like visors, and then they've got just the Aparoid like growths in them, and I don't know, they've got this kind of weird quality to them where they're almost like Cylons from Battlestar Galactica. You feel some inhumanity there, even though that's just part of their uniforms.
Yeah, they've got this like overarching aesthetic for the Aparoids where they kind of are this mix of like honeycomb Tron lines and spikes, which honeycomb fits with the whole hive imagery of them. This is probably gonna be a bit of the episode where it's really hard for me to not just fully immerse myself in all the little world building details of Corneria, because oh my god, there are so many of them, and a lot of them are very fun. There is so much done to make Corneria feel like a realized space and not just a collection of ambiguous skyscrapers.
Yeah.
Including, and we get the highlight of this in the the establishing cutscene. There is on a giant news screen a news broadcast covering all of the destruction the Aparoids are causing, anchored by this unnamed female newscaster character who we never see in any other context.
Yeah, she is like a fox, so We all make the Fox News jokes about this. Get them out here now. But yeah, it is Corneria News, and she kind of looks like Crystal, except with more like a dark gray kind of fur, with like white fur on her face. And
yeah, it's not just like a palette swap of Crystal,
yeah.
but it is very much like this is probably derived from Crystal. They've like tipped her ears, given her different hair, glasses, a different outfit.
Yeah, but it's really fun.
It's a Crystal type.
This is such an attention to detail and world building, and this was only a little over 3 years from 9/11, so a lot of this imagery would really hit home at this time, of just a burning building and just constant news coverage as it's happening, as people are dying. This is pretty ballsy for a Nintendo game. This is like, I'm surprised they went this hard with it.
And unfortunately, part of it also hits home as it's a newscast saying, hey, the Aparoids can infect organic and inorganic material. Maybe be careful. Maybe stay inside.
At least wear a mask if you go out. I don't know. Yeah.
Even like the little news crawler, we get some like environmental context for Corneria. There's mentions of a Pepper Port, refuge area information, Corneria Central.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so many great little pieces of world building that your mind can really latch onto and have some fun with. Like you said, this is the first time Corneria feels like a real, actual city and not just a little obstacle course to fly your R-Wing around.
There is so much signage around the city because, of course, you can't really go into any of the buildings, being the game being what it is. And also, yeah, nobody's going to have their door open right now.
We're closed.
So I don't think I got every sign in the city, but I did kind of just get the ones I could read that I thought were fun and wrote them in the notes.
Sure.
Like, welcome to Corneria, that's obvious. There's a lot of advertisements for Speeding Comet toys, which is advertising all goods 1% to 99% off, with a special on radio-controlled spacecraft, which is 2% off.
I do like the little detail that they have RC spacecraft in the Lylat system. I mean, this is before drones really became widespread as a consumer technology. So yeah, it's a little cool to see that they would have those there, and they would, of course, be very popular.
And if you live on Corneria, I'm sure like Star Fox and the Cornerian army are just integrated into the culture there.
Yeah. Like
people are probably going there and getting souvenirs.
Sure.
There's an advertisement for a place called P. Simmons. And it's paired up with the ad for Speeding Comet toys, so it sounds like maybe it's the name of a department store. There's one for purchase club membership. I kind of get the impression that Corneria is like an entertainment capital. Like, it is vaguely like New York City-esque.
Yeah.
But I also read this and think like maybe this is just for Space Costco.
When you want to buy your fuel cells in bulk.
There is a sign for the Zone S water quality. It was hard to read, but I think it might say engagement committee. Again, calling back to they are cleaning up the pollution on Zone S.
Yeah.
There's a few entertainment signs. Corneria Film Festival, Melody of Memories, which you don't really get context for, but it sounds like a concert series, maybe.
Yeah.
There's a crawler outside a building for an Interplanetary Environmental Protection Congress, as well as a Lylat Crime Prevention Symposium, with a listing of what hotel, what floor it's on and what time. And this is all around an advertisement for the Lunastone Hotel, limousine service available. So I think it kind of paints the impression that Corneria has a convention center.
Oh yeah, Spacey 3.
Yeah, I wonder if they canceled theirs due to the Aparoids.
No, they canceled it when Star Fox 2 got booed.
There's a fluorite museum. I don't know why that's the museum they have. There is a building labeled Interstellar Communications. Seems like they're doing really good at their job.
I mean, maybe that's their brand name. Maybe it's a little... It's kind of a portmanteau we don't understand because we don't have context.
Yeah, that one's fixed to this like radio tower with a spinning disc. It kind of reminds me of the Diddy Kong Racing spinning rings.
Ah, maybe we are onto something.
There's a lot of travel-based advertising. There's a sign that says "Come to Fortuna," and relevant to our purposes and something to ponder on. A sign that says Soria Development.
Boo! Don't gentrify Soria. What are you doing?
I really want to hope that this is about, like, say, like, better integrating Soria into the galactic community and, like, keeping them abreast of interplanetary politics and maybe, like, opening up travel. And it's not just about putting Starbucks in Krazoa Palace.
No, that's what it's about, Cameron. I'm pretty optimistic considering all things, but if the last 20 years since Star Fox Assault hasn't made you cynical towards this sort of thing, like, I look at this and I'm like, yeah, maybe the reason Tricky left with a bunch of dinosaurs to the Rare Archipelago is because of that exact thing. A bunch of outside developers exploited his planet. And especially now that it's been completely wrecked by the Aparoids, they're like, oh, well, you don't need this temple over here. We're going to bulldoze it and put some...
Shabunga is absolutely the type to go to Corneria and start making handshake deals like, yeah, I have the land rights to Snowhorn Waste. Don't worry about it. Who's asking?
Yeah, come to the new, like, housing development over by Cape Claw, starting in the 500,000 range. Like, they're going to be pricing the dinosaurs out of their own home, and they're going to have to just flee to the Rare Archipelago. For the purposes of Diddy Kong Racing, great, but for just justice, this is terrible.
And it's not the only time Soria comes up in advertising on Corneria, because there is a sign that reads, Seafoods Restaurant, fresh Saurian horned lobster, seafood and drinks. What is a Saurian horned lobster?
They've probably been fished to extinction at this point, but yeah, like, probably... We didn't really get out on the ocean in Star Fox Adventures. The closest we came was Cape Claw. So I do like to think there's a whole bunch of nautical life that we could have maybe seen in a sequel.
Yeah. I like to think that they have a lobster population there. That's fun.
Yeah, horned lobster, that. But yeah, now, of course, once Star Fox Adventures happened and Soria was beginning to become reintegrated into the Lylat system, yeah, you're going to get stuff like this. And it doesn't really end well for Soria, does it?
Yeah. We also have, like, some generic traffic signage, but I wanted to call attention to one specific thing.
Okay.
So Corneria kind of exists on an island, again, kind of similar to Soria for the purposes of this game. I think you just kind of have to set everything on an island, either literally or metaphorically.
Sure.
So that there's a bound to the level. But the way that the level is constructed kind of gives the impression that there are routes in and out of this city, but they've been exploded by the Aparoids to cut off means of escape.
Yeah.
As there are a bunch of smoldering, like, off-ramps and on-ramps.
Makes sense to me.
And I feel like they were trying to do a gag here. There's a sign for the route for one of these highways, and it's not Route 66. It is Hyle, what route is this in this photo I have?
Oh, well, Cameron, they're gonna love this. 6-7!
Nintendo, you gotta get this on You got to get this on Switch Online. Your Gen Alpha demands it.
Meanwhile, crusty
audience.
millennials like me are asking, why didn't they make it Route 64?
Well, now they just have a route without any number on it.
TJ has asked if I did the hand motions as I said that. Sure. If it helps, sure. I went all in, and Meme Muppet is crying with a Dixie Kong emote.
And there are a few other, like, kind of simple ones. One that says Ward Office, current exchange rates, followed by some letters and numbers. A sign for a dolphin with an unreadable line under it. Which that one's
GameCube gag.
I want to say that one's self-explanatory, but I also wonder, have people retained that was the GameCube's code name, or do people mostly associate that with the emulator now?
Probably, but I would imagine anybody well-versed in Nintendo history, even if you didn't live it, will know it was Project Dolphin.
It probably is just the most prolific code name for a console they've had.
Yeah. Like not as many people remember Revolution or anything, so,
Yeah. One sign that just says exotic aroma.
Well, don't mind if I do.
And there's one final one I want to call out, and I wanted to call this one out because this has some kind of very specific implications. There is a series of signage with like a screen display advertising something called The End of Katina. And from context, I get the impression that this is either a movie or a like stage theater production that is some kind of heavily fictionized war story with a Star Fox analogous team, because the display is that text with images of like Star Fox team vehicles and silhouettes of people who kind of resemble the Star Fox team but don't seem to be.
Yeah.
And there's also accompanying text calling out presumably the performers in whatever production this is, calling them out as this text is, I don't know how you're meant to pronounce this, the Solve Clue crew or Solve Salute crew, but I can tell it's not just word salad because underneath it lists two of the starring, presumably actors, Squeaky R. Wagon Wheel and Rumi von Holstein.
Oh. Wow.
So I guess like a cow?
Yeah. Yeah. Squeaky R. Wagon Wheel. Why didn't they voice Fox in the Super Mario Galaxy movie? That's just such a wild attention to detail. Like, they clearly had fun thinking of things to cram in Corneria City.
Right, and I realize to some extent, like, it's a multiplayer map, you want some form of visual landmarking so you know where you are, but they really, really indulged here, and it's so fun.
Yeah.
But getting back to actually playing the game...
Oh, alright, if we have to.
Yeah. So you do have to take out a bunch of radar jammers in the skies, which are very alien-looking. They're kind of these floating eyeballs that you have to shoot with the sniper rifle. And this very much seems like we have to find a way for you to use the sniper rifle in the single player.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
But because of that, it is kind of a very open-ended mission. You just have to take out the radar jammers and defend Crystal at one point. So you can really kind of do it in any order based on just finding optimal ways for you to shoot them. I think I found like a specific rooftop where you can just get most of the radar jammers in a handful of shots, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But after you take out all the radar's back online for the Star Fox team, And with their transmissions unblocked, Peppy can now send you an R-Wing to a rooftop. But the Aparoids aren't stupid. They find you, they are waiting for you on this rooftop, and they destroy the R-Wing and surround Fox.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a little subversion because, Fox cannot get into an R-Wing in this mission. Doesn't happen. And so it's not just repeating Saria or Sargasso.
And they sell it even on a replay. The R-Wing appears on your radar. It's a physical object in the map. It's just the second you walk up to it, the Aparoids blow it up.
It's a nice little bit of subversion. It's a nice surprise for the player because what's going to happen now? Fox can't get it to take to the sky. Who's going to come to the rescue?
So with Fox sort of just seemingly done for, surrounded on all sides, Wolf chimes in, calls Fox a pitiful sight, and starts firing on the building Fox is on the rooftop of, taking out all the Aparoids, but also forcing Fox to run off the edge of the building because he's going to get blown up by laser fire if he doesn't.
Right.
And it turns out, no, Wolf wasn't being an opportunist, taking this chance to shoot Fox with spaceship caliber lasers. This was a rescue.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a huge turning point in the game. And I would say in the development of Star Wolf and Wolf O'Donnell in particular, because this is the moment. I've been using pro wrestling parlance a lot to discuss this game, but this is not a face turn so much as a kind of Stone Cold Steve Austin, morally ambiguous turn to tweenerdom, where he's kind of morally gray, but you get a sense of honor with the character that maybe wasn't there before.
Yeah, this is really a strong defining moment for Star Wolf, or at least this lineup of Star Wolf, minus Pigma and Andrew, who were both pretty reprehensible.
Yeah, it's amazing what happens when you get rid of like the actual evil members of Star Wolf and the ones who are just in it for
Leon
money.
Leon still likes to enjoy killing people, but
yeah, but it is kind of like once you cut off Pigma and the pathetic Nepo baby Andrew, you could actually develop these guys a little bit.
Yeah, this is the moment that like cements these guys aren't just card carrying villains who are there to antagonize Star Fox and only that.
Yeah.
They are less scrupulous mercenaries and they act in their self-interest and they are criminals. But they don't just want to watch the world burn. They aren't just going to, we want to shoot down Star Fox at all costs. They have lives and they don't want to just throw them away.
Yeah, unlike a lot of the crooks of the modern day, they understand that they do live in a shared society and they're not above it all. And if it all burns down, they're going to burn with it. So they better pitch in before it's too late. And it's great. It honestly, this really made me a fan of the character of Wolf in particular. This is such an effective little bit of storytelling they do with the character. And it's honestly surprising that they allowed him to grow this much. I mean, they're really swinging for the fences here, changing up the dynamics of these characters, and I love it.
Yeah, this is a moment that kind of defines Wolf from here on to the point that, I think we have enough distance from the Star Fox news. I can bring up other games more. When Wolf reappeared in Starlink and was seemingly had ambitions of conquest, people were confused. Well, wait, this seems out of character for him. This isn't like Wolf as I came to know him in Assault. And they do, in that game, they do kind of give a reason for why he's doing what he's doing, but it just goes to show, no, Assault really just cemented this is who Wolf O'Donnell is.
Yeah.
And it also really drills in that he has this like sort of warrior's respect for Fox.
Right.
And his sort of brushed off excuse for why he rescued him is, if anyone's going to tan your hide, it's going to be me.
Sure, which is very Lex Luthor to Superman.
Which I like that both Leon and Panther audibly do not buy it.
Mm-hmm.
They just kind of like scoff at him.
Yeah.
Like, no, you don't want them to kill him.
I see you have it in the show notes, but I love the moment where Panther, he like all of this is happening, and Panther spots that his favorite cafe got demolished, and he like gets all wistful about it, and like that's such a little moment for Panther that really I think makes him a fun character.
I love it, and it does like reaffirm for me that, yeah, I think Panther is the only one of these three who could just do something like walk into a cafe.
Yeah. Well, he's...
And not have the police called on him immediately.
He's a bit of a Lothario, so I could see him, be like, oh, I'm going to sit in the corner here and look mysterious with my poetry. Just... that's who he is. And, I like, because if I was flying over a city I lived in and I saw like my favorite restaurant was gone, that would piss me off, even if I was surrounded by a lot more important matters.
And he does say the first thing he wants to do when all of this is done is get a first class meal.
Right.
The whole section of this level from here on is very characterful. I also want to call attention to it. A couple things since I neglected to last time. So, for one, Panther and Leon are played by the same actor, so a lot of these exchanges are him just talking like one after the other, and they don't sound alike, which is very cool.
Yeah.
But also, both Sargasso and this moment in the game feature Assault's arrangement of the Starwolf theme from Star Fox 64.
Mm-hmm.
This is a contender for my favorite Star Fox song. This is a beautiful piece of music.
Yeah.
I love that they've carried it forward into Smash Brothers, because I basically pick it every time I pick a Star Fox stage.
I like that they have that song, that motif, when they enter the story. Because you're like, yeah, it really is kind of like a hero moment for them coming in to this Mission 7. And it does kind of change the tone, because up until that point, like, it's like, oh no, Starwolf in every appearance up until this point. And now it's like, oh yeah, Starwolf. And it really does help sell to the player how against the wall everybody's back is, to the point where now Starwolf is looking like salvation.
It also creates this fun dynamic for the rest of the game where Starwolf and Star Fox are on the same side, and they are communicating with each other, so there's this friendly friction that's constantly radiating through the background whenever they're around, where nobody's fighting each other, but they are still, like, interacting, giving each other shit, sometimes complimenting. Fox and Leon kind of have this thing of Leon constantly trying to have a bit of petty one-upmanship with Falco whenever he gets in trouble and needs to be bailed out.
Yeah. Or
trying to prove he's a better pilot. Panther flirting with Crystal and either kind of getting brushed off or shut down.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of, the context is completely different, but it does remind me of the way characters act in like big comic book or superhero crossovers, and you have all these like disparate characters who would not normally interact being forced to team up, and they kind of have, the banter and a little bit of friendly rivalry going on. Sort like Avengers Infinity War, when the Guardians of the Galaxy had to interact with Doctor Strange, is that kind of thing. And
it's a Guardians of the Galaxy where everybody is Rocket.
Yeah, it's the Avengers Infinity War where everyone is a Guardian of the Galaxy anyway, and they're all Rocket, yeah.
There's even like a cute interaction I like where Slippy kind of just gets caught up in the moment of how cool it is watching Fox ride the Wolfen's wing and suggests that, hey, take me for a ride sometime, trying to get Wolf to give him a ride. And Wolf just hard shuts him down and tells him to shut up. It's very good.
That does make sense for Slippy being the tech guy, being the, I just want to get up close to a Wolfen and really admire it, and yeah, it's really fun to have the two sides come together in this very apocalyptic circumstance. But that really kind of forges, even if they're not going to admit it, a bond that is, I would say, kind of carries over through the rest of what we call the Dinosaur Planet trilogy. Like, their relationship can't really revert to what it was before or after this.
Yeah, but of course, this level has got to be an emotional roller coaster, and that was the height, and here comes another drop as a transforming like mech sort of like spaceship and bipedal robot shows up, which it turns out is General Pepper's flagship, and it is visibly very Aparoid corrupted.
Yeah, but
this thing's
General Pepper's
the Air
okay,
Force
right?
Bow.
General Pepper, they won't do anything to General Pepper, right? Because he's been there since, he's been around since the start. They're not gonna do anything with General Pepper.
Yeah, General Pepper is very visibly in the cockpit of this thing.
Oh no!
And it's kind of funny to look at how he appears in this cockpit because he's not really sitting in a seat the way like Fox is in R-Wing. The Aparoids have kind of turned the cockpit of this ship into a sort of coffin for Pepper, where he's lying face up in the glass.
It's a sarcophagus. Yeah, it's like, I never put that together, but you're right. Like, that is what it visually conveys to the player, and your brain does pick up on that. Like, you're basically seeing General Pepper get enclosed in his own tomb.
So yeah, as everybody kind of realizes what's going on, Pepper is still in control of his mental faculties, but his body is fully under the control of the Aparoids, it seems. He can't stop this ship doing what it's doing, and he makes a last request that Fox destroy the ship, destroy him, before the Aparoids fully take control and use him to hurt anyone.
It's very much like the zombie movie kind of thing where somebody's been bit and you're like, you'd have to put me down. And it's
even a dog. He's Old Yeller.
Oh God, this is horrible. Nobody likes to see the dog get hurt in anything. Like, if a dog gets hurt, I haven't watched John Wick because I can't do anything where a dog gets hurt. It's a little bit easier when the dog is anthropomorphic and wears clothes and is a general. It's a little bit easier then, but this is still pretty sobering to see. And I think the reaction of everybody in Team Star Fox really helps sell like what is happening. Like, even though the acting is kind of cheesy and yeah, this game is very hammy covered in cheese, just slathered.
It's not so hammy anymore. Pigma's been exploded.
Cheesy then. It's just cheese, but it's still something you feel. It still, I think, resonates, especially with the history of past Star Fox games. I mean, General Pepper was even in Star Fox Adventures. He had a pretty prominent advisory role throughout that game. So, like, this is wild to see that they're like, we don't know the final fate of General Pepper at this point, but it seems clear that General Pepper might be getting sent to the farm upstate.
Yeah, and I know out of context there'd be the impetus to say, like, they're not going to kill General Pepper, come on. But we saw earlier in this game, again, Pigma turned into a big, horrifying abomination and got blown up.
Yeah.
That feels like there is a real, like, dagger hovering over Pepper's head here.
Tricky's parents died off screen, and yes, Tricky's parents aren't as iconic of characters as Pigma or General Pepper in the grand scheme of things, but the stakes are going to keep raising here, and General Pepper is a pretty big stake that we're going to yank out if, we got to keep escalating the tension to Mission 10.
Yeah, so from here throughout the boss fight, the game really kind of drills home the emotional stakes by showing, I think, every character except Leon maybe having some kind of reaction to what's going on. And for most of them are reacting very differently. Fox is very distraught, especially since he has to be the one to pull the trigger. And also, like I think Pepper is he is a quasi dad figure to Fox along with Peppy in the absence of James. Like, this is a guy who's important to him.
Yeah, basically it's Uncle Dad, except the uncle has become the dad. And, granted, Fox's dad does show up in ghost form from time to time, but that's not as reliable as Wrinkly Kong. So yeah, he kind of leans on Peppy and Pepper.
Yeah. Slippy is distressed to the point of weeping and kind of panicking over what to do. Crystal's sad and worried. Falco is angry and disgusted that the Aparoids would stoop this low. Peppy and Panther, I don't think they're pleased with the situation, but they both seem optimistic that there might be a way out of this. Pepper's tough enough. Maybe they can just disable the ship.
Panther's probably just like, oh, his wife is going to be single soon.
Lonely Hearts Club Band, huh?
Has any of the additional material, like comics, ever established Pepper's wife's name? Or if Pepper has a wife or a spouse or anything?
I can't think of anything offhand. I'm sure somebody could correct me on that.
Because if not, my headcanon is her name is Rita.
Why not? We have a Captain Shears. I think just everybody immediately around Pepper or who looks like him should just be a Sergeant Pepper's reference.
Sure, yeah, let's do it.
Pepper, obviously himself, is just chiming in the whole fight, telling you, he's fighting this, he's powerless, just don't worry about it. He wants you to take him down. He has the very, hard line of, let me die in battle, do not let me transform.
Which, fair, I would not want to become a bug monstrosity either. Stop this before it happens to me.
Right. But Wolf has what's kind of a through line for the rest of the game here. He knows how upsetting this situation is, but he's just kind of committed to this steadfast calm of, well, the situation is awful, but Pepper's right. Shooting him down is kind of the only way out of this situation. And hesitating to do it because of how much you love him isn't really going to make anything better. You just have to do this.
Yes. And I think everybody is pretty much written to perfection here. I think this is really where the stakes are elevated almost as high as they will get, and having Star Wolf along with Star Fox, everybody really plays their part to perfection, and at this point, I'm really just feeling all of the characters. And I think this is why I'm such a big Star Wolf fan, particularly this incarnation of Star Wolf, these three together.
This even kind of hints that, Star Wolf have this respect for General Pepper, even though he is, ostensibly their enemy.
Not to bring up Star Wars again, because I did that quite a bit last time. But it does remind me a little bit of how Boba Fett developed, especially in like the expanded universe and even in the new Disney canon, where, you know, Boba Fett's such a beloved, cool character that eventually they gave him that like warrior ethos where, yeah, he's a criminal, he's a bounty hunter, he's done some scummy things, but at the end of the day, if push comes to shove, you know, he won't be a complete villain. You know, he does have certain standards he lives by that sets him apart from others. And I think, like, it's kind of the same thing with Star Wolf here.
Yeah. So, of course, the fight eventually ends. Gotta say, on the higher difficulties, this is a tough fight unless you are constantly hammering Pepper with these plasma cannon shots.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, it's one of those things where I was able to do everything after enough practice. Like, it didn't take much time to get good enough to clear it. But, yeah, this isn't the hardest thing in the game, but it was up there for sure.
It is a section where I definitely realize the trick is just watch the radar so you are always aware of where Pepper is at all times.
Yep.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't bring this up, because I'm sure the Idaho crew would want me to. The fail state for this battle is one of the funniest things in the entire game, unintentionally.
Oh, yeah.
There's two things that have kind of become a running joke from this game in our household. One is Fox's very blasé, quick reading of really? Well, okay. In mission 1. And the other is this interaction where if you let the Wolfen take enough damage, it explodes. To which Wolf just says a very like curt but angry curses. And Fox lets out a blood-curdling scream as he plummets to the ground.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I'm sure it's more terrifying for Fox, given that he's out in the elements as it goes down.
But when you actually do take Pepper down, of course, even if you're trying to keep Pepper safe and only destroy the machine is floating above a giant city.
Yeah.
So it's falling very rapidly with nothing to slow its momentum, at risk of Pepper getting crushed by gravity. So Peppy, kind of out of nowhere, we find he's gone rogue with a spare R-Wing and is en route at high speed toward Corneria, and at the last second crashes it underneath Pepper's flagship to cushion his fall.
So, yes, General Pepper does not die, per se. We thought he was a goner. He is saved, ostensibly. And Peppy did save him, which I like that, like, Peppy took the initiative, given the relationship those two must have. Goes back far more than Pepper's relationship with Fox, Falco, or Slippy, or Crystal for that matter. So, like, it makes sense that Peppy would try anything to save Pepper.
Yeah, especially since, and Starlink even kind of touches on this, I think Peppy has, like, since the prelude to Star Fox 64, always carried this guilt that he didn't save James.
Yeah.
So I'm sure, like, as incredibly reckless as this looks, I'm sure that was part of the motivation here. Like, I can't lose another important person like this because I didn't do anything.
And he does save him, but as we would later learn, this is kind of the end for General Pepper's military career.
Yeah, he's presumably immediately rushed for medical attention after this.
Mm-hmm. But he never makes a full recovery, or at least he's never well enough after this.
Doesn't seem at 100% to ever again.
Yeah. And I really like that. I like that even the process of being aparoided and starting the assimilation process, even if that was halted, it's still taken such a toll on his body that he's basically just done. He's forced into retirement because of this very serious injury, I guess you could say.
And it is a useful baton to throw to a team going forward if they wanted to build off of this game of, well, we benched Pepper, but you could do something with him if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
But this did have genuine stakes. He did not shrug this off.
Yeah, I really like... For the missteps that Command took, I really like that it didn't shy away from just taking that baton and saying, okay, yes, and, and didn't shy away from ignoring the events of this game. And I really appreciate just that constant pass a story nature from Rare to Namco, and then to who did Command again?
Q Games.
Q Games, that's right, yeah. So this whole era of Star Fox is my favorite, partially because it's not afraid to just keep escalating and advancing the story of this group of mercenaries.
Yeah, absolutely. So after that really heavy mission, I feel like this next one is sort of a breather, even though the stakes are still very high.
Yeah, the stakes don't de-escalate until the very end of the game.
I think part of it is just we get the levity of, in this briefing, we've caught back up with Beltino.
Beltino, yeah. So this is Mission 8, Orbital Gate. Hey. Mission 8 is Protect the Gate, actually. In orbit above Corneria is an orbital gate. This is like a Stargate. We talked earlier about the Great Fox entering the beginning of the game through this green wormhole. Okay, so at the present time, Federation scientists are rushing to finish a weapon that will tilt the scales of the conflict in their favor. An anti-Aparoid program bomb. Do whatever it takes to protect the gate from the Aparoid invasion until the weapon development is finished. So basically, they're going to Independence Day it. They've got, they're developing something that they can deliver to the Aparoid Queen on the Aparoid homeworld that will just basically destroy the colony.
Yeah, this one's in capsule form rather than USB stick form.
Made sense in the 90s. We didn't question it. But yeah, so this is the gate that will take them to the Aparoid planet, but they have to protect it. The Aparoids know what they're going to do, what they're up to. So now it becomes, they're going to try to destroy the orbital gate.
They destroy the orbital gate and also the research team who are developing this, they call it a program bomb, and it seems to essentially be exploiting a vulnerability in the Aparoid's biology, hoping that if they administer it to the Queen, it'll essentially just cause rapid cell death in all Aparoids.
Yeah. Which would be bleak if the Aparoids weren't proving to be a civilization-ending threat.
This game taught me the word apoptosis. The structure of this mission, and I have to be honest, I think of all the missions in the game, I like this one. I think it is the least memorable because I think it is just kind of narratively very simple. But it stands out in that it is, well, you are defending a central structure as enemies swarm around it, and at a certain stage, the Aparoids kick it up a notch by sending in missiles launched at the facility, and if you let the missiles hit the gate, that's it.
Yeah.
you failed the mission. So this is more than any other part of the game. I think this is something directly from Star Fox 64. This is Sector Z.
Right. Yeah. Which is okay. It's okay, especially like you said, as a breather. Like, we have had two very emotional, like, ground to air missions in the game preceding this. So I like that we have something that's just purely R-Wing based. And
yeah, you're starved for R-Wing after the last level.
Yeah, I didn't mind this. And I think it's a very memorable setting, although maybe Smash Brothers is skewing that for me.
Yeah, I was genuinely shocked to see this come back in Smash. Though, seeing how they executed it, I do think it was a cool choice. And I do have to wonder if it being chosen was like Namco being able to kind of have the ear of Sakurai.
Oh, I'm sure.
Have something from our baby.
I don't mind, though.
No, I don't mind at all. I think that was a cool stage. I kind of wish it came back in Ultimate. I'd also say, despite how similar this is to Sector Z, I like this one more than Sector Z.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is the different scoring structure this game has compared to Star Fox 62. I mean, why did I say 62? 64. I'm getting ahead of the curve, Hyle. It's not going to be 6-7 forever.
Well, no, Star Fox 62, that's what some people call the SNES version. And then Star Fox 2, the unreleased game, was Star Fox 63, and then Star Fox 60. It makes sense to me.
Yeah. But, so Sector Z, I think, is famously one of the more frustrating levels in Star Fox 64 to get a medal on, because there's very little margin for error. You're kind of given marginally more targets than you actually need to hit.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think when I finally get it, a lot of it came down to finding out where like the errant satellites were in that level to shoot down that give you a couple extra hints, because in addition to keeping an eye on the enemy waves, like just shooting enemies all the time as they go around the Great Fox like flies, you also have to keep your teammates alive or you fail the mission. And if you're coming to Sector Z from Zone S, Cat shows up as a helpful mission character to help you shoot down a missile, but any missile not shot down by you personally and shot down by a teammate doesn't count toward your score.
Yeah.
That does still happen here, but you have a little bit more wiggle room, because you can kind of make up for it by just chaining enemy attacks over and over.
Right. Ultimately, like, I think the scoring system in this game is much more fair than Star Fox 64.
I think it encourages a lot more variety in your approach, which I like.
Yeah.
Star Wolf also joins in, like I mentioned with Cat. They join in to help you shoot down the missiles. They are slow enough to help you that you can just completely undercut them and shoot the missiles they're trying to help you with, to Wolf's complaining.
But I love that they still show up. I love that they didn't just end their involvement in Corneria. They're still part of it. And that feels very true. Like, they're in this now.
And it's also, I think that they're here helps sow some seeds for something later that happens.
Sure.
Another difference with Sector Z is you do have one final extra large missile that you kind of have to shoot off in parts, and it accelerates as the parts break off.
Right.
But yeah, there's little more I can really say about the mission other than that, which is nice because we spent so long on Soria and Corneria.
Yeah, we almost devoted an hour to both, so it's good that we have some brevity in then probably the next couple missions until we get to 10, so yeah. But I do like the orbital gates design. I like the design of the wormholes. I like the conceit of this mission and the narrative that is being told. It feels very forward momentum from this point on. Like, you're gearing up towards the end, and each mission is in service to getting to that final stage. Yeah.
So, obviously, we defended the orbital gate. They finished the program. And next stop is Mission 9, the Aparoid homeworld, breaching the defenses.
Right. I'll read the loading screen. Storm the Aparoid homeworld. The Cornerian Armada commands the skies above the Aparoid homeworld and is making advancements into Aparoid territory. The entrance to the heart of the planet is protected by a base and a powerful shield. The Star Fox team has been deployed to the surface of the planet. Capture the base and turn off the shield.
Yeah, so we discover upon arrival that the Aparoid homeworld, it initially appears to be this very, pristine-looking blue planet, but that's because the reverse side of it has been hollowed out like just an insect-ravaged apple.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
And there is a glowing neon purple hole where the Aparoids have kind of made their home.
Hey, which it makes me wonder if this isn't where they actually originated, or if this is a planet they Aparoided it itself, like they took it over and just made this their home base, like their colony, their hive for their queen.
I could definitely believe it. The Aparoids have kind of part of their whole mystique is that they are very outside context enemies.
Yeah. And we don't even know where this planet is in relation to the Lylat system. Like, we don't even know if we're in the Lylat system at this point, right?
It's at least far enough away that they didn't feel like they could just simply fly there.
Yeah. Which is interesting because you never really get the sense that they need the orbital gates for any actual travel in previous games. So it does make me wonder if we are just in an entirely different solar system at this point. Still in the galaxy, but somewhere far enough away that they wouldn't have been able to reach without.
Right. And I also have to assume on some level we didn't see orbital gate technology prior to this because... I think if you tried this when Andros was invading, assuming they even had the tech at this point, it would be extremely ambushable.
Sure.
So I don't feel like I have a whole lot to say about the nature of this mission, because not a lot is going on narratively, which is ironic because this is the most time-consuming mission in the game, probably.
Fuck. Yeah, this one... I spent the most time on this one for sure. I sweated the most, on my controller with this mission.
It's so nasty, and it starves you for checkpoints.
It is nasty, this mission. And it's good. I mean, that's a good thing, because it should feel... stressful given where you are, given what you're trying to do. I do appreciate how everything has just been ratcheted up to an almost obscene level, but jeez.
I kind of had to get this one down to a science for the gold medal, and even then I still feel like I can't execute on it perfectly every time.
I'll be honest, I just barely eked out the gold in this one, and I was fine with that.
Yeah, what I kind of had to do was, you have to play this level very defensively because there are a ton of objective points and there's just so few opportunities for you to heal, and also a bunch of enemies that can essentially kill you in 2 hits.
Right.
Really. So I kind of got in the practice of the first thing I would do is get in the Landmaster and just sort of shoot every possible thing I could that was in an exterior area. Driving it in a circle through the ramps, in the hallways between buildings. I'd shoot every enemy on rooftops.
Yeah.
And it also sets you up with a nice early level combo if you're trying for the medal, so you don't have to worry about it as much when you're trying to not die in these enemy strongholds.
Yeah.
Especially these things are the bane of my existence on Ficina, so I make sure to take them out early. Those pill bug or snail style enemies that can just destroy the Landmaster in a couple hits.
Yep.
I got curious after the last episode because I'm calling them snails, I'm calling them pill bugs. They're obviously bug-like. They're probably not supposed to be snails. I'm going to look up what they're named. And the Japanese Perfect Guide calls them Escarg.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, pretty clear they're snails. They're meant to be snail-like. Even they're still insectoid. Very, very dark level, very neon purple. A entirely suspended, so you can very easily fall off if you're not paying attention. That's another part of this that makes it difficult, in addition to all of the enemies around blind corners and things like that. And your objective, as it has been in other on-foot levels with the Aparoids, is you're taking out a bunch of hatchers. This time, they add the wrinkle that a lot of them are shielded, so you have to take out shield generators that are preventing you from taking them out, kind of turning one target into, 3 or 4. The final part of the mission adds Aparoid hatchers to the underside of the level, which means you have to get in an R-wing and shoot them away.
Yeah.
And it also means, since you're now under the level, if the R-wing gets shot down, you can't just chill and wait for it to respawn. You die.
Right.
I think the only narrative thing I'd really want to add that we experience in this level is you get periodic chatter from Peppy as you go, kind of giving you a very vague play-by-play of what's going on in the part of the battle you're not seeing, because the Cornerian forces did accompany you. It wasn't just Star Fox themselves.
Sure.
And very early on, Peppy tells you, we've lost a high percentage of the fleet. We have to retreat. Things just really don't seem to be looking good. On one of your last couple targets, Peppy will give this very ominous, heartfelt-sounding comment, addressing every member of the team by name, except Rob, telling them how proud he is to have worked alongside each and every one of them.
You know, that's good, though, because you always want to tell the people in your life what they mean to you before it's too late. And I'm just glad that he had the foresight to do that for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah, as he says, he's just rambling. He's an old man. There's no reason he's doing all this. So then we finally come to Mission 10, Homeworld Core, the final battle. So this is the only mission with no briefing to precede it. We see that they're about to fly into the core of the planet, only for an energy reading to suddenly go off the scale. A giant hexagonal shield appears over the entrance to the core of the planet. It cannot be destroyed with laser fire. There's seemingly no way in. All of a sudden, Peppy shows up, audibly on the scene, telling everybody to get out of the way, and we see why. The reason why is because the Great Fox is barreling toward the planet at high speed, smoldering and under siege by Aparoids.
It's crawling with Aparoids. And, you know, for all the drama of what was happening with General Pepper, it's not like General Pepper has an iconic ship or anything. So the visual didn't really hit the same as seeing the Great Fox sort of under siege, under the swarm, and knowing that Peppy and Rob are inside. This is a very effective moment here.
Yeah, this is, again, a moment I think the game does genuinely get the emotion across, because obviously everybody is distressed about this, screaming, telling Peppy not to do it. But like Wolf's philosophy earlier, Peppy just realized I have to do this. This is the only way anybody succeeds.
Mm-hmm.
Peppy is even visibly infected by Aparoids at this point. He has like the glowing blue and purple like scar running across him.
Yeah.
It crashes the ship, tells them they can't waste the opportunity, go through the core, get out of here. And they do. The team fly their R-Wings through the gap Peppy left, and as the shield reforms behind them and the team speeds down, the Great Fox explodes behind them.
And all of their stuff with it. That smutty calendar, the pizza boxes, the jukebox, they're all gone. Oh, and Peppy and Rob, I guess. This is a really like a wow moment for the series because, I mean, the Great Fox, which was introduced in Star Fox 64, instantly became one of the most iconic vehicles, but also locations in the series, even in Smash Brothers, you know? And so
Yeah.
to blow it up, that is maybe the most gutsy thing this game did. I think this would actually upset people more than the character deaths or forced retirements we got to this point.
Yeah, and I've kind of alluded to, like, with other characters and things that have happened in this game, Command would reveal, like, it wasn't quite the last we'd see of them. Like, they still had more to do with them. This is the genuine permanent destruction of this version of the Great Fox.
Yeah, I mean, this version of the Great Fox has had some maybe renovations. It got a real glow up in this game from all the money from Saria. But this is it. I mean, Smash Brothers aside, the temporal machinations of Smash Brothers aside, this is the last we'll see of this version of the Great Fox, not counting remakes.
They even kind of take advantage of this happening in Command to inform the game, some of the gameplay conceits of Command, because there is a Great Fox in Star Fox Command, but it is a cheap, stripped down, decommissioned former Cornerian aircraft carrier. And
yeah.
because it's decommissioned means it's been like de-armed, it has no fortifications, and aside from like some missile interception, it really can't defend itself at all. If anything touches that thing, it's getting blown up.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's a piece of shit to look at. It's not visually interesting, but that's what I love about it.
Yeah, it's boring looking. It is very much like, this is not a replacement Goldfish for the Great Fox. This is a downgrade.
Yeah, they're not going to get a new carrier that's shaped kind of like a fox. They're going to have to just settle with the money they have. And I really like that. That is just a fun consequence of all of this. I mean, it's not fun, but it's believable. And that makes it fun if you like storytelling. You know, if you are married to visual design and you just want things to stay stagnant, this is not the series for you. At least these are not the 3 games in this series for you. I love when Peppy's going down, and Rob. I don't want to forget about Rob. And Fox screams, "Peppy, you can't die." It's very almost like a child's plea. Like this guy, Fox, has already had to deal with the loss of his father and the near crippling of his father figure, his one father figure, and now his other father figure is about to perish before his eyes. And there is, like, it's almost comical the way it's animated, because Fox is just burying his canines, his sharp, fangy teeth. But I do like, just like, Fox is almost like, this cannot be reality. I am going to cry against what I am witnessing because I can't take this.
I think some of Fox's like strongest moments as a character are ironically when this section of the game is putting him through the ringer, and we see these moments of genuine like terror and anxiety and anger.
I think this is where Fox is more forced to grow up than maybe in other Star Fox games, where, you know, he's kind of got that cocksure hero vibe in the Lylat Wars, and then in Star Fox Adventures, he's almost kind of like meeting the harsh reality of adult life for the first time, but he's still very much like viewing himself in a child's conception of what a hero is. And he does grow in that game, and he grows to care about things and people and tricky and whatnot. But I think this is really where he's forced to just confront mortality one after another. And it's, yeah, like, and he doesn't have time to mourn. That's the wild thing about what happens is he witnesses the destruction of the great fox, and he believes Peppy is dead, but he has to just go on with this mission because everything is at stake.
Yeah, Wolf gives him this advice at the end of the Corneria mission. Don't hesitate when the time comes, just act.
Yeah.
And it really, it just informs his every action from that point. Like, he did take it to heart. Like, I have to just commit to the job in front of me.
And as
no matter what I'm faced with.
And as a player processing all this, I couldn't help but think back to Star Fox Adventures, Cameron. Do you know what I'm referring to? All right, I'll give a little bit more context. The well in Star Fox Adventures.
Yeah.
There's a very cryptic message in the well, in the ancient well. And when you can drop
know exactly what this is.
You can drop cheat tokens in the ancient well, and they've got like the warp stone on the tokens, but they will facilitate different things. And sometimes they will give messages, prophecies of things to come. And generally speaking, they're referring to what is to come in Star Fox Adventures. There is one very cryptic message that fans still argue the intention behind. And you drop the token in, and the well speaks to Fox and says, "There is sorrow ahead. A close friend does not have much time left. It will be hard to accept, but you will grow." And at the time, we were thinking, could that be Peppy? Is that like hinting that maybe Peppy will soon pass away? Obviously, we will never see that. But is that the intention? Some people have interpreted that as kind of Rare's message to the fans that, yeah, we're leaving Nintendo. This is the end of that chapter. Others have taken it to have more innocuous meanings. But I thought back to that when I saw this happen, and I was like, holy shit. Is that like them paying forward that message from Star Fox Adventures and like making the prophecy come true with Peppy?
Especially because Peppy has repeatedly mentioned retirement in this game.
Yeah.
That is a death sentence in fiction.
You could take it to mean what happened to Pepper and his retirement or whatever, but I did think, oh my God, is this the ancient well prophecy come true? And so that really kind of pumped me up a little bit too, just having that potential payoff.
Yeah, and I mean, we'd already shunted him off the primary team for Crystal, and like, he had been in a mission control role. I could totally foresee like a structure of a Star Fox without Peppy, and that this game does leverage that. And
if that was the way he was going to go out, I mean, what a hero's end. Like, it's not a death where he is the victim. It is a death where he gives them their shot. And I think that would have been a very fitting end for Peppy had they, committed and said, like, this is it. This is it for the character of Peppy.
Yeah. I mean, getting ahead of ourselves, I like Peppy enough. I'm glad they didn't do that.
Yeah,
I appreciate the twist of the knife while they could.
I like the way they made you think Peppy was dead here. And we'll talk about, what happens and our feelings about it. But I do like Peppy, the character. Like, I'm not rooting for him to be just fridged, especially now that Crystal is here. Like I said before, I really like the way they moved Peppy to the guy in the chair role on the Great Fox. I thought it served him well. He wasn't diminished in any way because of it.
And as we got into with the politics of Star Fox Adventure, not making the easiest path forward for yourself, having one of the original 4 members killed off with a newer female character in their place.
Right. But it does open the pathway for Mission 10, which is defeat the Aparoid Queen. And I like how blunt this loading screen message is. It says, the Aparoid Queen is somewhere in the depths of the planet. Overcome all obstacles, find the Queen, and deliver the self-destruct program. This is your final mission. Which has a very ominous tone to it. Which, it's like, yeah, this is the final mission in the game, but this could also just be your final mission. Like, this could be a suicide run. Let's be honest.
Yeah. And at the outset of this mission, you find out Pet B didn't just open a path forward for you. Starwolf has followed you in.
Fuck yeah, I love that they came along. What a run for Starwolf in these last 3 missions. The last 4 missions, really. Like, it is such... We already talked about what a defining moment it is for especially Wolf. But, God, I was, like, pumping my fist, or my one fist with my other fist gripped firmly on my GameCube controller when they came along, because, yeah, I like that they're with Star Fox to the end here. Or basically the end.
Yeah, they've done so much legwork to make them characters in this game that you do just celebrate getting to spend as much time with them as you do.
This really is their game. I think if you come out of anything from Star Fox Assault, it's Starwolf is really cool. There's a reason I got the Wolf amiibo when it came out in the Smash series, because I was like, yeah, I've got to have that. I don't care that he wasn't in Star Fox Adventures. Wolf is my guy.
Yeah, and I really think because this level is such a gauntlet, this first section is... Well, in addition to the part of the final fight, it is the last wholly on-rails R-Wing part of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a gauntlet.
Yeah.
Kind of needing you to use absolutely every trick the R-Wing has. And because of that, I think it's great that Starwolf are here to lighten the mood.
The banter helps, for sure, because you do need lightning quick reflexes. You do almost need to memorize things, because this will be one of the things that you will have to perfect with trial and error.
I could tell you exactly when every teammate needs to be bailed out because enemies are on them.
But the thing that really helps is that you do appreciate the back and forth banter on the comms, and it really just makes it almost a joyous kind of final run. Like, I was less stressed about this than I was probably Mission 9 or like Mission 4 even. Like, this felt like almost not a victory lap because it is hard, but it felt kind of like almost a lay down your burdens, you're at the end vibe.
Yeah. It's also a lot less time consuming to redo than Mission 9.
That is also true.
But of course, the game made you fall in love with Starwolf just to tease you one more time. Because at the end of this tunnel everybody's flying down, full of traps and enemies, there is a sudden swarm of enemies that aren't impossible to kill, but take a lot of laser fire to kill.
Yeah.
And also launch very, very damaging projectiles at you. It kind of just seems this is a no-win scenario. So Starwolf resolves to distract all of them. They will pull the swarm elsewhere so that you can focus on the Aparoid Queen. And that is the last time you see Starwolf in this game.
Yeah, it does leave it up in the air, doesn't it? What happens to Starwolf, and there is the implication that they might not have made it out.
Yeah, I think this is the one time the game teased me with it where I'm like, nah, they'll be back. You made them too cool now.
Exactly. It's like, there's never the fear that they were actually gone, but I do think it's interesting that it just tossed their fate up in the air for the next team, for the next studio to resolve. But yeah, they did just make them so heroic and intriguing as characters. And like I said, these new tweener roles. And yeah, God, I love it. I like thinking about my favorite Star Fox characters. It's obviously going to be biased towards some of the Adventures crew. Tricky, I'm not afraid to admit it. I'm not ashamed. Tricky is my favorite Star Fox character, but I think pretty close on Tricky's, I was going to say heels, but pretty close on Tricky's cheating racing feat are Wolf and the rest of this incarnation of Star Wolf. I think they're just, they're kind of like the perfect rogue characters. And yeah, this really, really did so much for them in my esteem.
Yeah, this, like you said, this is very much their game. To the point you even unlock Wolf as a multiplayer character if you manage to keep your team alive for every mission. Like, that's just how much it's their game.
It's not surprising he became playable in Smash shortly after this.
I forget where this tidbit came from, but I got the impression that Sakurai wanted to have Wolf playable in Melee, but they ran into the issue that they're in a development crunch, they gotta do clone characters, and the issue with Wolf at that point in time was if you have him in a Smash Brothers game with all the same moves as Fox, he's just gonna look like he's Fox but gray, and make things very confusing. So they went with Falco, who's more visually distinct. They definitely wouldn't have that problem ever again after this game.
Yeah.
So with Star Wolf out of the picture for now, we get to what seems like it's going to be the final boss, the Aparoid Queen, in this sort of like distressingly milky looking like center of a beehive area.
I hate that.
Yeah. And when they arrive, suddenly the team are kind of assaulted on all sides by the voices of characters talking to them, asking them to cease hostilities against the Aparoids and give in and join them. And they're curiously all characters whose fates are in question at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Pigma, General Pepper, and Peppy, and during the boss fight, Rob. But the one that makes the biggest impact on Fox is the voice of his dead father, James.
Yeah. This is, I think, confusing to some people because they think the implication is that James was killed and assimilated by the Aparoids. That's not what's actually being implied here, though. We know how James died, and the Aparoids weren't part of it. This is really them using the information pulled from others, like General Pepper, for instance, or Pigma.
Pepper, Peppy, and Pigma all knew James well enough to paint a picture.
Pepper, Pigma, and Peppy painted a picture of Fox's Papa. Yeah, it's definitely like really cool and really cruel. You said like maybe Pigma taught the Aparoids how to be cruel, but this is just clear pushing your emotional triggers, making you feel something, trying to throw you off so I can kill you. It's great. It's like the smoke monster from Lost.
And it also does sort of, because it's not really him, keep up. James is weirdly consistent for a dead man, perfect attendance record in every Star Fox game after 64.
Look, it's not a DKU game if a dead character doesn't hang around for far longer than would be plausible.
Like Like you brought up the well. James has a message in the well.
Yeah, that's how James actually injects himself into Star Fox Adventure, as he communicates to Fox through the well. So yeah, he's got almost a perfect attendance record. Just
Yeah. Yeah, so Slippy figures out what's going on. The Aparoids are just using all the information they've accumulated to make one last-ditch effort to emotionally manipulate the team.
Yeah.
In a really, really crass way. Fox is understandably thrown off by, like, I think even the specific line they give the Aparoid Queen is really affecting here. And they have Jim Walker doing James McLeod's voice, and I think he works in that role for the same reason his Fox doesn't quite land, in that he can, like, sound like the consummate professional dad.
I do think it works better for James, because James has his shit put together, where Fox very much doesn't, even if he pretends he does. And so, yeah, I think Jim Walker makes a better James than, Jim is a James, but a better James McLeod than he does a Fox, which is not to disparage his Fox. Again, like, they cast him, they instructed him, they directed him, and the animation does him dirty as well, but...
Right. But yeah, I think having Fox, who hasn't, like, seen his dad since he was a kid, like, being told by the voice of his dead dad in his ear, that's enough, there's no need for you to be hurt anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty affecting. That's really strong.
There's got to be a comedic cut of this scene we can put together where it's not just these characters, but it's like so many other characters from Fox's past, like Shabunga pops up. It's like saying, you don't have to pay anymore. And maybe Mario shows up from Smash Brothers and just, let's get weird with it, man. I don't know.
There's all the gifts you need in here. But yeah, eventually Fox shakes it off. It's a fight that's basically a cycle of the Queen continuing to try and goad them with their friends, or in Pygma's case, enemies, goading them, trying to get them to give up and brushing it off. I know at one point, in response to bringing out James again, Fox just says, "You're hideous." It is an all-range fight, and thankfully something they do for this fight and the one after it, because especially the one after it, the one after this fight is very, very tough. The Queen spawns these sort of like a larva around her that you can shoot, and they sometimes spawn health items or laser upgrades.
Yeah.
It's very helpful. Once you take down this form of the Queen, you kind of have to destroy a big glowing spot on her that's shielded, as one does.
What would we do without big glowing spots in video games?
Yeah. They administer the program, but the Queen, well aware what they're trying to do at this point, decides what she's going to do is run away with the hopes that her immune system will create an antibody and just render all their efforts moot. And at this point, the Queen starts speaking with her actual voice. Same voice actor as Crystal, Elisa Glidewell, but it's very robotic and ethereal.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of goads you for the entire rest of this fight. As she's running from you, it's another on-rails tunnel. This is another like Area 6 style fight where you have to destroy a shield to reveal the vulnerable part underneath. This is a very, very hard fight. The Queen damages you a lot.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a section where she can spawn a bunch of mines in front of you, which initiates a segment where your teammates will ask you to cover them through the mines as they shoot at the Queen. I have never been able to do these perfectly. They're very finicky.
Mm-hmm.
And in the final phase of the fight, once the queen kind of ditches all of its armaments and starts fleeing down the tunnel, it alternates between these two attacks. One where you have to kind of stay in the center of her path to avoid these like barriers she's erected around herself. And another one where she fires a beam directly where she is centered, and there's not really a lot of leeway to tell which one is going to be which.
Yeah.
You just kind of have to figure it out and roll with it in time. Thankfully, again, the first phase of this fight, you can just load up on health and laser upgrades by prolonging it as long as you want by shooting at the larva. But that's a tough fight.
It is. It is challenging. I don't even remember. It's such a blur. Like, I don't even remember my strategy for this. I just know I got through it. I got a gold, but
there's just too much going on. I couldn't even recount what I did.
It's a cacophony of lights and noise. And it's definitely like the big boss battle out of all the DKU that I probably remember the least. I remember the all range portion more than the final tunnel chase.
Yeah, I guess I will say there is a third line that's sort of become an inside joke with the Idaho crew, which is in that aforementioned mine section, Crystal can be one of the teammates that flies ahead and gets exploded by mines.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what creates the fail state for... One of the things that creates the fail state for this mission where one of your teammates can be shot down, because this is the last stage, this is the fight. There's not many other opportunities for them to go down. And if Crystal gets shot down, she will scream in a heavy put-on British accent, "My fuselage!"
I don't know why I thought, because you emphasized the British accent, she was going to say bollocks or something. No, okay, my fuselage. I think there's more important things to worry about, like your flaming body, Crystal. But yeah, sure, the fuselage too.
Yeah, so after that, you take down the boss. We get the game's ending, the queen explodes, and the rest of the planet kind of starts to collapse around her. So it evidently seems things were working.
Did I Mandela affect James' ghost, guiding them out again?
I think so. I think the put on of James was the only appearance from him in this game.
God. I could have sworn James' ghost showed up for real.
If he's there, I just didn't notice it.
Okay. All right.
I remember, I think for as strong as this game has been, in spite of its own presentation sometimes, this ending is a little weird and abrupt in some of what it does. So I want to read what Fox says after you defeat the queen, because my reaction to it was always just kind of, huh? He says... So the whole thing was just one big entity. She tried to bypass evolution by stealing souls, but you have to be born with one.
Profound. I see what he's saying. I get it.
I get the spirit of it. I do feel like it's a clumsy attempt to have a moment in the 30 seconds we have left before the credits roll.
Yeah.
And after the credits roll, there's an additional scene.
Oh, yeah. There's a bit of a happy ending after all of that death and destruction and misery. So even though I was wrong, James' ghost did not show up. I could have swore, I don't know why that was incepted into my brain, but I just looked it up, and you're right, he doesn't appear. Because maybe I dreamt it sometime in the years since I last played it, but...
The thing is, it does just sound like something a Star Fox game would do.
Right.
So I can't hold it against you.
Right. But yeah, we do get a reunion with another lost loved one, although not long lost. Peppy and Rob are okay. They escaped in an escape pod, which, you know, I guess they didn't have time to broadcast that was their intention.
Yeah, Peppy professes he really is going to retire after this.
I don't know about that, but okay.
I don't know about that. I like the touch that it kind of seems like either he or Rob has administered like slapdash medical attention. He's got bandages over his aparoided parts.
So did Rob just go in with the surgical saw and just slice the bits out?
I wonder if they just kind of like became scar tissue when the Aparoids died.
Oh yeah. That could be the thing. Although it could have still like died inside of him and still needed to be taken out. He just has dead bug chunks under his skin.
Yeah. It could have been worse. He could have like, I don't know, turned into a space cube or something.
Yeah. Or as it was known in development, the space dolphin.
SNES game had a space whale.
Horned lobsters on Saria. Rock lobsters in Donkey Konga, too. All right. But Fox was like, I knew you were okay, Peppy. I had a feeling or something. I forget the actual line.
Which I feel like is weird considering his actual reaction, but to Peppy sacrificing himself. But I guess I can accept that it's optimism. Same with, he assumes Pepper and Starwolf are probably fine too.
Of course, I think at this point you would just want to hope for the best because you're just done. You're spent. You're like, I'm going on vacation for 3 weeks. Hope everybody survived that.
So this episode's going long, so I don't know how much time we want to spend on this.
No, we gotta read all these, Cameron.
Yeah.
I think this is important as a coda to everything. During the credits, the staff credits, we do get updates on every single planet that we have been to, or every environment we have been to. And it's kind of like, this is what happened after the events of Star Fox Assault. This is how they rebuilt. This is how they recouped. I like this bit.
One last major like throw to some world building.
Yeah.
Throw some world building at you.
Yeah. So do we want to alternate reading these?
Yeah, I think we tag team this.
Okay. You can go first.
Okay. Fortuna, Oikini rebels, destroyed, Aparoids, expunged, damage level, C+. The Aparoid raid was concentrated in the northern forests, so casualties were held to a minimum. Supplies for reconstruction will now flow through the base, retaken from the remnants of Andross's army.
I always wonder how they like grade the damage levels. Like, is a higher grade like worse damage or less damage?
It is at least just fairly straightforward, I guess. It's not damage level orange. It does seem like the higher letter grades indicate greater damage.
Yeah, I think so. Looking ahead,
which is a little bit counterintuitive, but
yeah, because whenever I damaged term paper in school, I didn't get a higher letter grade. All right. Katina, Aparoids, expunged, damage level, B-. I like that they have the plus and minus system here.
Yeah.
Many of the occupied bases suffered damage, but the remaining citizenry survived largely unscathed. In light of the current circumstances, providing materials to the bases for reconstruction and the preservation of public safety are our top priorities.
I like that this indicates a civilian presence on Katina.
Yeah, we don't really get any indication of that any times we've been there in this game or in the past.
Right, because we just go from military base to military base.
Yeah.
Sargasso region, damage level, none. As a result of their battle with Star Fox, the gang occupying the territory is no longer a realistic threat. With Starwolf's survival in question, it is imperative that succession is carefully monitored.
I like that they still leave Starwolf's fate up in the air and they don't return to Sargasso region at the very least.
Yeah. I also like the implication that, like, for all the loyalty these like, minions, goons, ruffians had, like, wanting to make sure nothing happened to the base while Wolf was gone, criminals be criminals. If it looks like Wolf may not have lived, they're gonna take his stuff.
Sure. All right. Ficina. Aparoids. Expunged. Damage level C. I think it's just C. It's hard to see because it's light blue on blue. So.
Yeah.
The Climate Control Center was severely damaged and requires repairs and improvements to all systems. In particular, the warning system and ancillary equipment is in dire need of being reevaluated.
Asteroid belt. Aparoids expunged. Damage level B+. The disposal of the abandoned bases has been deferred to a later date. Gaining a quick and comprehensive understanding of the region is difficult because of the complex topology. The area will be placed under observation. I like that this is a very, we'll get to it later.
Yeah. All right. Saria. Aparoids expunged. Damage level A. Yikes.
Oof.
Much of the native population was able to escape into the forest and avoid harm. Local resistance forces, however, suffered terrible casualties. Additionally, historical losses are immeasurable, as ruins across the planet suffered during the battles. It is imperative to research and implement an aid program as soon as possible, and also develop that Starbucks.
Corneria. Aparoids expunged. Damage level A+. Oh boy, worse than Saria. The capital city was at the center of the conflict and suffered terrible damage. In fact, it was forced to abandon many of its duties as the center of the Lylat System. An interim government has been established and is operating from an orbital base. Citizens are beginning to return to residential blocks from areas that suffered comparatively light damage. But the majority of the city is in dire need of goods and public order. A plan to quickly bring aid and relief to these areas must be formulated.
Wow. So clearly Soria is not going to be as soon as possible because they are going to prioritize Corneria. Jeez. All right. Orbital gate. Aparoids expunged. Damage level C. I feel like you don't really need to say Aparoids expunged when they have been presumably wiped out, but okay. Damage level C. Corneria City has been annihilated. So a temporary governing body has been established under military supervision. It always has good outcomes, doesn't it? This administration will continue to govern until the destruction of the Aparoids has been confirmed, at which point they will relinquish sovereignty as quickly as possible.
I love fiction.
Yeah. Oh, and
Aparoid homeworld. Aparoids exterminated. Damage level, parentheses, invading force, A+. The collapse of the enemy homeworld has been confirmed. The self-destruct program bomb has effectively halted communication to all Aparoid groups, and reports from invaded areas describe the annihilation of the Aparoids at a, quote, cellular level, unquote. This ends all anti-Aparoid operations. The invasion force will return to the Lylat System as soon as missing ships and personnel are searched out and recovered. As regulations permit, Team Star Fox will receive a monetary reward for their meritorious service.
Wow. All right.
Or sorry, meritorious service.
Aparoided. Yeah, it's another payday for Team Star Fox, but at what cost?
Yeah, I really like these little summaries. And yeah, the Soria one does say most of the population escaped into the forests, but anybody who fought back locally just got obliterated.
Which I think helps confirm the Sharp Claws mostly getting wiped out, and why we maybe don't see them hanging around on Timbers Island or Pterodactyl Land or what have you. It's it's still not a complete downer of an ending, but it definitely doesn't glamorize any of this, which I do appreciate.
So that's it for the single player campaign. The game does have a bonus NES game included, Xevious, and 2 more in the Japanese version, Battle City and Star Luster.
I didn't know the Japanese version had 2 more.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about any of these 3 insofar as games because we spent enough time on the ones that are DKU.
Yeah.
But I did find some cool tidbits that kind of informed why these 3 specific ones. So Xevious, I feel like, is kind of self-explanatory. If you play it, it's, you're in a flying machine and you're shooting at things. Starluster was, in that interview, it says Imamura insisted that we include Starluster, but also I learned through another article posted from Nintendo Life, there was a quote from Dylan Cuthbert about Star Fox 2, and apparently Starluster informed the design of Star Fox 2.
Oh. When you say Star Fox 2, you mean the real Star Fox 2, not what this game is
the
called.
real Star Fox 2.
Okay.
The quote, Katsuya Eguchi was driven for a more iterative kind of space game based only very vaguely on an old Famicom title called Star Luster. And if you see a screenshot of Star Luster, you get why this would inspire Star Fox 2.
Mm-hmm.
And Battle City was chosen because it's a tank game. It's like the Landmaster.
I think it's cool that they had this, but I have to be honest, I did not play Xevious all that much.
No, I unlocked Xevious and then I didn't touch it because I was like, I've got enough meat to get through with just Star Fox Assault.
I was like, I've spent enough time in space shooting things. I want to go touch grass for a bit. So yeah, it's just one of those things where, like, at the very least, it doesn't make you play it. It's not like DK64. Here's Jetpack. Here's this old rare game. Or Ultimate Play the game in that case, and you're gonna have to just suffer through it until you get that coin.
It is just fun to see that it is from this era of indulgently letting a development partner have their flowers.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we've come to just about the end of just about everything in the game, Hyle. Finally.
Woo! Yeah. Well, that surprising, but not surprising, considering obviously we both, I think, love this era of Star Fox, and getting to actually talk about this unadorned by itself, not part of any other discussion, I think really unleashed a lot of stuff we wanted to say about it. But to those who haven't really experienced the Dinosaur Planet trilogy or the mid-aughts era of the Star Fox series, everything between Star Fox 64 and Star Fox 64, you might be wondering, like, is there any lasting legacy of this game beyond just Star Fox Command? Because it seems like the Star Fox series kind of stuck itself into a rut not long after this. And I don't want to talk about Command too much because we will eventually do a spotlight episode asterisk on that. But obviously, like, really quick, the Great Fox still destroyed. They didn't have any take-backsies on that. You get the assault style R-Wings show back up.
Yeah, Peppy and James, who is playable in that game somehow. Every character in Star Fox Command, for the most part, gets their own unique, like, R-Wing equivalent, even the Star Fox team.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Peppy and James kind of nodding to they're the old heads. They're still flying the old style R-Wings.
Yeah. The Star Wolf lineup carries over. Spoilers, they're not dead. They do make it out from the Aparoid homeworld. And they follow up on certain characters like Andrew and Pigma, interestingly enough. Now, Pigma's dead, Cameron.
Yeah,
Well, we'll save that for another day. But, yeah, Star Fox Assault, I think, did help cement a lot of the things from Star Fox Adventures. And it's weird, because Star Fox Adventures, it seems to be viewed much more fondly now than it was at the time of Star Fox Assault. Like, people do have nostalgia for it. It's funny, like, when people learn what I do, and, like, they actually, like, understand DK Vine, and I quickly, like, explain what it entails, a lot of people get excited when I bring up Star Fox Adventures, which always takes me back. I'm like, really? Because I'm so used to being on the defensive about Star Fox Adventures. And I think, like, divorced from the media and the narratives online at the time, there were people who just grew up with it. And it was just a game they really liked. And I think that's well and good, and it might still have that legacy today, but I think Star Fox Assault helped get some things over the line quicker than the warm glow of nostalgia would have permitted, like establishing and cementing Crystal, or even Saria as a location.
Yeah, I really think it helped keep adventures alive for the Star Fox series in Rare's absence. And I don't just mean that in the, like, metaphorical sense. I mean, it was a useful utility to keep elements of Star Fox Adventures present in other games because, as we established, Rare was bought out during development of this game.
Yeah.
Nintendo probably does not have access to a lot of their development assets from Adventures. Probably couldn't use them if they wanted to.
Right.
But Star Fox Assault, by virtue of bringing back a lot of stuff that was in Star Fox Adventures, has a lot of Saria-related assets. And, for instance, Smash has a trophy of Tricky.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason that we have a 3D model of what Tricky looked like in Assault is because that trophy is in Smash. He only appeared in this game in a pre-rendered cutscene.
Yeah, right.
So it is something to mine content from if you want to acknowledge Star Fox Adventures, really at all, outside of, like, promo renders.
Sure.
It does get acknowledged in other games beyond Command. I've already said its music is in Smash. Orbital Gate is a stage. Crystal is conspicuously absent in it, but they'd make up for that in Ultimate.
Mm-hmm.
The Lylat Cruise stage has chatter from this iteration of Star Fox and Star Wolf, with some actor swap outs, but it is intended to be these iterations of the characters. And a song from unique to this game, a game full of arrangements, even shows up in Starlink. I was really thrilled when that happened. And you have, like, minor things. This game's, like, insignia for Corneria stuck around as long as getting retroactively put in Star Fox 64 3D.
Oh, I love that.
It's in, like, the outro, like, sequence under the credits.
That's great. I'm glad to see stuff like that. I always like when you get those little retcons put into remakes, and I'm fine with it, really. Like, personal example, or an example that is close to my heart, is when they added the crow's nest, as in Crow the character, with the golden, with the eggs and everything, on the Gangplank Galleon in Donkey Kong Country for the Game Boy Advance. And it's just like, yeah, of course, it should be there.
Yeah, just a neat little harmless call forward. But I think probably undeniably the biggest impact Star Fox Assault has had, not just in the game that follows it chronologically and the games that echo Star Fox Assault, but just really almost the entirety of Star Fox as an IP after this, is defining the character of Wolf O'Donnell.
Yeah. It's not Star Fox 64 that made him so beloved. I mean, I guess for some people, sure. But the game that gave him depth and some complexity is Star Fox Assault. And even as the series has mired itself in repeating the same events and the same game again and again, I don't think you can have any take-backsies on that interpretation of Wolf because it is so effective and evocative and so winning for the fans.
Even just the vocal performance of Wolf going forward, I think Star Fox 64 3D is the only game where they really try to, for understandable reasons because it's a remake, evoke the original performance Wolf had in 64.
Yeah.
Everything else is very much the gruff, stern mercenary he is in Assault.
Like I said, I do like that this game makes him a little bit more than just the Bizarro, the Shadow Self, the Dark Link, the Wario. He is, but there's so much more going on with him than just, I'm Fox, but bad. And I think that really, did it for me, right? It made him probably my second favorite Star Fox character, and he wasn't created by Rare. So, good job, Star Fox Assault.
Yeah, it really seems like this series can get rebooted as many times as it likes. I don't think the stuff that this game added for Wolf is really ever going away at this point.
Yeah. In the live stream chat, Traveler the Star says, would you say Crystal would be as beloved if not for Assault 2? I know she would be liked due to her design, but you mentioned how sidelined she was in Adventures. I feel like Assault boosted her. Oh, for sure. Crystal became something of a meme in the aughts. The thing with her eating sandwiches or something. I don't know. But
I think a very significant thing it did to inform her character going forward that's been, helped the fan circles for the character is it gave her a second outfit.
Yes. She doesn't just have to be in sort of the tribal bikini. She can actually dress for the occasion as well. And that's important, especially for cosplayers. And of course, Crystal appeals to a certain demographic of fans, and that's fun. I joked about that back in the day, which I kind of look back on and frown. I was being shitty and a little bit of a gatekeeper, and any connection people have to characters, no matter what they are, is not my place. Even if I don't understand it, it's not my place to say no, not for me. Who fucking cares? And I do think Crystal has stuck around and has maintained her devoted fans despite not having a presence outside of being an assist trophy in Smash Ultimate for close to 2 decades.
It is genuinely appreciative how much of the documentation I can do on episodes like this, specifically because of the Crystal Archive existing, sure. And just having HD cutscene uploads, having interview stuff, all rallying around one character. That's great.
I've never been one to rally around just a single character, but you could look at the concept of the Donkey Kong universe and see that as ludicrously self-limiting, and why don't you expand your horizons? Why don't you cover all of Rare or Super Mario? Or so it's I get it. I kind of do understand now, even if that just same connection I have to the character of Crystal isn't there. But I would say, Assault did definitely help. I think do more for the character and also make the character have a longer lasting impact for her own fans than I think if it had just been it for the character with adventures. It would have just been the promise of what was when it was Dinosaur Planet. And this showed that there is stuff you can do with the character beyond just scrapped potential. And so I definitely do think, yeah, Assault plays a large role in that. All right, Cameron, we have calls. We've been sitting on some of these.
Yeah, we cannot let this be a 4-parter.
No,
we gotta get these.
We've got to take the calls. We have 9 calls that have accumulated. Most of these did come in before we even recorded part 1. Some of these came in betwixt part 1 and part 3. But we're going to be playing them all. Our comments on them may be brief. This isn't a call sack after all, but I do want people to have their chance to express their own feelings towards this game, either positive, negative, or maybe neutral. So let's go ahead and play that first call.
Hey guys, Rick here. Been a minute since I called. I've had less time to listen to podcasts because I got a new job position, which is unfortunate, though the job does give me normal sleeping hours, so it's kind of a fair trade. I'm really liking it. But, yeah, you know, I wish I called in sooner. Like, I'm a huge Star Fox fan since I was a child, Star Fox 64. I wish I had called in for, like, the movie episode, but it missed me entirely. But, I think y'all were talking about Assault, so I just figured I'd chime in. Great game. I think the flying isn't quite as tight as it is in 64. That's just a little irk on my end, but otherwise, I love it. I love what it does with the cast and the characters. I guess I was just going to see, if you haven't already, I was going to see if y'all had talked about everyone's designs and their new outfits, really, because they only wear them in this game, and I was just curious what you all thought of them. And if you've already talked about them, that's super cool. You know, I just like the idea that everyone's got on this, like, battle armor, because we're all on foot, we're all getting shot at, so it just makes sense for this game, and I think that's a really cool thing they did. I don't love everyone's outfits. Like, Fox always threw me off a little bit. Like, I know his colors are, like, white, green, and red, but I just don't know if they mesh super well here, but, you know, Slippy looking pretty cute, not bad. Falco in the all red is just dope. I honestly assumed they gave him the all red just to help, like, him stand out from Crystal, because now we got 2 blue characters on the team. It kind of throws off the color coordination a little bit. And then Crystal, I think she looks amazing. It's probably her best outfit, in my opinion. I love the all blue. She just looks super cool and very, very titillating. I'm sorry, that was inappropriate.
Thank you for the call, Rick. Congrats on the new job. Sorry you don't have much time to listen to long-winded 3-part podcasts on video games that are over 20 years old. But you know what? Appreciate your take. I'm glad to hear you like it. And, you know, the flying might not be as tight as Star Fox 64, but I think all the balls it has in the air, everything it's juggling between being on foot, jumping in the Landmaster, I never really noticed. It's one of those things where there's just so much going on.
It's a smidge floaty.
Yeah.
And it's like you notice in the on rails levels, but I think to some extent that's a consequence of it being built around also being able to hop out of it at any time and the kind of mechanics they need to build around that. It's just kind of I don't think I prefer one or the other. I think you just I kind of learned around it.
Yeah, and like I said, I think the scoring system in this game is a little bit more comprehensible and fair, and so I didn't really mind the controls, and you definitely get acclimated to it straight away, and this is, again, my favorite traditional Star Fox game, and even though I always, in my heart of hearts, love Star Fox Adventures the most, I can't deny that this game means a great deal to me. Traveler of the Stars, by the way, is after you, Cameron, because you said you would explain where Assault ranks for you. So you have to do that before we're done, okay?
Yep, I did see that comment, Traveler. Okay. Don't worry.
All right.
I'll go address it after the calls.
And yeah, Rick, we did talk about their uniforms quite a bit in part 1.
Yeah.
It's good insight on Falco. I think that's correct.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I do like it because it does feel bulky but nimble enough where you do feel that added protection when you're on foot and swarmed by bugs.
I like them for this game at the very least.
Like if you're just in an R-Wing or a Landmaster or the Blue Marine.
Yeah.
I got that right. Okay. it's not in Star Fox Adventures or Assault, so I might get it wrong. But
no, little hard to get out of a submarine in an open multiplayer map.
But like it makes sense you would want something more lightweight, more like breathable in those circumstances. But in this game, what they're wearing makes complete sense. And Porygon Q says, "Hell yeah, Star Fox" in the live stream. I agree. Let's go ahead and play our second call.
Hey, this is Kyle. To be frank, I've actually never played Star Fox Assault, only seen playthroughs of it, but I'm very interested in the Star Fox characters and world, and I feel it's a shame that Assault really branched out to new possibilities, and Command and Melee went overboard with the alternate endings, which I think kind of broke the series in a corner, so we've only gotten reboots since. I personally feel if they had, I'm sure Command might have some fans, but I feel like if I were in charge of Star Fox, I would just ignored Command and just continued off from Assault. As I love everything it brought to the series, the Aparoids, I would say willingness to kill off characters, but aside from Pigma, they kind of chipped out on that. But still, killing off Pigma is a huge feeling, like the first non-Andross threat and amazing orchestral music and graphics. Assault has a lot to be admired, and I wish I could play it, but I can't afford the game, and my computer's not strong enough. One thing I have noted is that 2005, the year this released, was the year with the most DKU games. I think based on your list, it's like 16 or 17 or so. Like most of it's cameo games, but still, no Sierra's matched the amount it got, which got me wondering, what do you think was the best year overall for the DKU, both including and excluding cameo games?
Well, thank you for the call, Kyle. Yeah, I think Star Fox Command, Cameron, another thing you have said that has lived rent-free in my head for a long time is, what was the quote about there are two kinds of Star Fox fans, those who accept Star Fox commands.
I think it was something like those who accept Star Fox Command as canon or want it to be canon, and those who are cowards.
Yes. I think there's plenty you could do branching off from Star Fox Command without ignoring or dismissing anything.
I get why people look at the multiple endings and feel like it just kind of made too big a mess to clean up. My thought on that has always been, if you look at those multiple endings, it's pretty clear there's only one or two of them that they thought anyone would ever meaningfully follow up on, and the rest are gags.
Yeah, we're not going to follow the cursed timeline. That's cursed with
No, we got enough of a cursed timeline.
Maybe we are living in the cursed timeline. But yeah, it's like a fighting game, right? Fighting games have multiple endings, but then when you get the sequel, you find out which character won the tournament. And it's just, you just roll with it. And I think it's overblown.
Yeah, they even said in an interview before the game came out that, like, if a future team wanted to develop on from Command, they could simply start the next game in the middle of the story, which I think people take that a little too literally. I think what they really meant is the next game will clarify how Command ended.
Yeah. So I always viewed that as kind of a cop-out, or maybe even a narrative to just say, we want to push Star Fox back to what it was before Rare got their dirty mitts on it and ruined it.
And that's not to say that's everybody, because I mean, I know there are huge fans of Crystal as a character who don't like Command.
Oh, they don't like some of the alternate endings for Crystal. Yeah. Some of them, though, are like what you would expect.
I'm personally pretty mixed on Command. It does a lot of stuff I appreciate. I don't really enjoy playing it very much, which is a huge problem. But, I mean, part of the thing I like about the fabric of this series is you take the good with the bad and you make it all fit together.
Yeah. Yeah. And we'll have more to say about Command when we eventually do Spotlight on that, but 2005 was a jam-packed year for the DKU because that's really when the buyout era was hitting the crescendo of Rare was purchased by Microsoft, and all the franchises that they were working on under Nintendo have now had enough time to cook under new developers, while what Rare has been doing at Xbox has had enough time. So we got just game after game after game that was a continuation of the era of Rare and Nintendo. So we got like Conquer Live and Reloaded, we got Star Fox Assault, we got Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, we got, just so much. King of Swing. And I wouldn't say it was the best year for the DKU, though, because I think what you're always missing is a big crowd-pleasing anchor like a Donkey Kong Bonanza, per se. And so I don't know if there's been a best year for the DKU outside of, like, acknowledging that we didn't get much, but what we got was all killer, no filler, Yeah,
even in, like, the golden, like, 90s of, like, steady DKU Rare output, a lot of the stuff didn't come out the same year.
Yeah. And 98 was just Banjo-Kazooie. Just Banjo-Kazooie. No Donkey Kong whatsoever. And so you might say, well, 95 was Donkey Kong Land and Donkey Kong Country 2. That was pretty sweet, but there's nothing else, So I don't know if we've had that ideal DKU year yet, though. But I think 2005 was maybe one of the most interesting ones, especially in retrospect, being able to look back and say, wow, that was a lot.
I think if everything actually happened that we were teased, 2001 may have been the case because of that E3. But even then, they wouldn't have all came out that year. So.
Yeah, maybe an alternate 2003. I don't know, but we get Donkey Kong Racing, Grabbed by the Ghoulies for the GameCube. Who knows? But it is one of those things where it's a fun parlor game. Maybe that could be an episode of the Kongversation in the future.
Yeah, I think this is a question to revisit in more depth.
For sure. Let's go ahead and thank you for the call. Let's go ahead and play our third call. If I can actually load it up. Here. Hit the button. Yeah.
Hi, Hyle and Cameron. This is Claire again, calling in for the Spotlight episode on Star Fox Assault. I can never know what my favorite Star Fox is because it always kind of flip-flops between Adventures, Assault, and 64. I think, I don't know, it's really hard because I really like all of them. I think in terms of just, the sheer cool factor, I think Assault is definitely the coolest, even though actually playing the game does feel a little bit half-baked at times, especially the on-foot. Not that I don't like the idea of Star Fox on foot. I love the idea. It's just the controls just really didn't mesh with me. I also really want a chance to play the multiplayer mode. I haven't gotten a chance to do that yet. And I really like the soundtrack for my dog is squeaking a toy at me. Okay, I really like the soundtrack for the multiplayer stages. I think they're really cool, and I wish the series would more go into that kind of genre of music. I don't really know what it's called, though. But yeah, also the character voices, the voices aren't bad. I feel like the voice direction is less than stellar. Another one positive is I think that I think Crystal's outfit in that game is really cool, compared to her Star Fox Adventures on. I love Star Fox Adventures, and I like Crystal, but I like her design in Assault a lot more. My dog is continuing to squeak at me. Hello. My dog's name is Zadie, by the way. Alright, so yeah, Star Fox Assault is really cool. It really shows that the series does have potential if they just do something else, you know? Like, they can always just make up more bullshit, you know? I want them to do that. So, yeah. Thanks for hearing my call.
Well, thank you for the call, Claire and Zadie.
Yeah.
Contributing to that.
Very sweet.
Yeah, the controls took a bit of time to get used to. The on-foot controls, I should say, especially if you're just thinking Star Fox Adventures, this is how Fox controls when he's walking around. I think once you acclimate to this is much more of an arcadey, action-oriented game, and on-foot controls are going to have to be comparable to vehicular controls. I think things start clicking a little bit more.
Yeah, it doesn't even really play like any other third-person shooter. It's very uniquely itself, and I think that is, on a first impression, very jarring.
Yeah.
I didn't really get a chance to put any good, legit time into the multiplayer mode until I moved in with the Idaho crew, and it did kind of open my eye of like, oh, this is genuinely really, really fun if you get a good group who's all into it.
Yeah.
And yeah, the comment about the songs in it, the soundscape for the multiplayer mode is very different than the single player one. It's an interesting choice.
Yeah, and on the multiplayer, I will have to cop to the fact that I have never played it with anyone else, because this came out at a time in my life where I wasn't hanging out with friends playing video games, or I wasn't playing video games when I was hanging out with friends. And unfortunately, I think I never had anybody who also had this game living near me. So it was just one of those things where I would jump in the multiplayer and kind of just tool around in it, but not actually experience what it's like.
If it could overcome the latency issues that every NSO game has, this would be a genuinely gold one to have on NSO for the multiplayer experience alone.
Oh, yeah, I hadn't even considered that. I mean, look, I know Star Fox Adventures is coming to NSO sooner rather than later, but then I really hope Star Fox Assault can squeak through, much like the dog toy we just heard, because I would really like to have that experience at least once in my life. All right, well, thank you for the call, Claire. Let's go ahead and play our fourth caller.
Hello, this is Gibbon. I know I was just on the other episode, but I had something to ask about Assault. Given that the Star Fox 93 manual states that Fortuna is known as the Dinosaur Planet, what are your thoughts on Assault canonizing the Dinosaur Planet as being called Saria, a completely different planet from Fortuna, which is also in that game? Personally, I find it really irksome, but I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts on it. That's all. Bye-bye.
Well, Jem, if it makes you feel any better, the mini you were on was several episodes ago at this point, so...
Yeah, Hyle, full disclosure, the reason I went into that detour on part 2 about Fortuna originally being the Dinosaur Planet is because I knew Jem would bring this up if we did.
And I think we've already stated our opinions on it, but just really quick for the benefit of the audience who doesn't want to go back and through 3+ hours. I don't have a problem with this retcon or this ignoring that weird coincidence in 93, because it doesn't really work if the Dinosaur Planet we visit in Star Fox Adventures is this known planet that they've already visited plenty of times in the past.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of these bizarre happenstances where you're like, wait, is that real? Or is that some sort of, like, false memory, like when I thought James Ghost helped guide them out from the Aparoid tunnels? But, no, it's real. It just, they could have synced it up. I think it's more on Rare and Nintendo at the time of the development of Star Fox Adventures that nobody caught it and was like, hey, we could work with this. Because it wasn't caught, I'm fine that Star Fox Assault overrides it and just pretends like it wasn't a thing. Because I've always been of the opinion that instruction manuals are soft canon, but if something in the game blatantly contradicts it, the game takes priority.
Yeah, I'm ultimately fine that they didn't try and reconcile this, despite how I usually feel about continuity. I kind of like that they not only created Saria as its own thing, but also like kind of did the legwork to give Fortuna its own distinct thing that still calls back to what it used to be.
Yeah.
That said, it is extremely funny what a missed shot it was.
Because again, it doesn't feel like it should be real, right? It feels like it should be an internet hoax or something that people claim they remember, but they go back to check the instruction manual. It's not really there, like the cornucopia on the Fruit of the Loom logo. God, it's weird. The universe is weird, Cameron. Thank you for the call, Jem. All right, let's play our fifth call.
Hey, what's up, DK Vine? This is Sylvie here, calling on Star Fox Assault. This game, like, kicked ass. This is my favorite Star Fox game. I'm kind of a GameCube fanboy as it is, but even then, like, this game is just so fun. The normal flying sections, I even like the vehicle section. It's cool that you can do crazy stuff in the Landmaster. Has my favorite, like, multiplayer in the series. There's so much customization. Having, like, crazy sniper battles or rocket battles will never stop being fun to me. And, like, the on-foot gameplay is super fast-paced. Feels very, like, arcadey. I know some people, I don't know, think this game is kind of unpolished, and I can see what they're talking about in some of the animations, and just, like, kind of the rawness of some of it. But it's still ridiculously fun. The story, very, very cool. I love how it's just like this total existential threat that isn't related to Andros, the Aparoids, crazy things like people die. Really fun game. I wish there was a little bit more Star Fox like it. And we got the new remake coming up for 64, but I do hope in the future things take more cues from this. Especially with, like, the character moments, the whole scene on, like, Soria with Crystal and Tricky and Fox. The Star Fox team's chemistry is really good in this game too. And it feels like very high stakes and new and fresh, even to this day. So, yeah, I hope everyone else listening likes it the way that I do. We love adventures too, but as far as your more standard Star Fox experience, I think this is the one I would still go to with both me and my friends to this day. So, yeah. Cool. See ya.
Well, thank you for the call. It's great to hear this game get love, because I honestly wasn't sure what to expect opening up the DK Vine hotline for this one.
It's genuinely good to hear from someone who says this is their favorite one.
Yeah.
And like I think I touched on in the last episode, I have been appreciating that the new game has kind of ushered in this mini renaissance for Assault, with its fans coming out of the woodwork and expressing, like, genuine affection and nostalgia for it.
Yeah, the only thing I'll contribute or add to the call is it kind of surprises me how much I love this, because I am not a GameCube kid. I view the GameCube kind of unfavorably compared to the Nintendo 64, because I'm an N64 kid. I'm slightly older. And that being said, Star Fox Assault, I love Star Fox Assault. I love this over Star Fox 64. Not to say I dislike Star Fox 64. I like Star Fox 64 a great deal. I played the hell out of it in the summer of 97 when it came out. I very much view that game as kind of like mini perfection in what it does. But Star Fox Assault is so much more interesting to me. And I'm like, the GameCube, maybe this is just the benefit of 2 decades behind me and getting nostalgic for an era that was slightly less shitty than the era we find ourselves in. But I'm getting nostalgic for the GameCube, Cameron. And it's not just Star Fox Assault I'm having these yearnings for. And I'm like, getting old is weird. Because I would have never thought, in the moment I was living, you're going to look back fondly on this one day. And that's really making me do things like cherish the Switch 2 now, rather than when I'm in my 60s. Be like, oh, I wish I appreciated the Switch 2 when it was around. I was like, no, I'm gonna appreciate it in the here and now.
I definitely didn't foresee myself luxuriating for 9+ hours on how much I like Star Fox Assault.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I didn't either because podcasts weren't a thing yet. So I didn't think I would have a platform to spew my thoughts into a microphone on a weekly basis about nonsense. But here we are. And for all the ills the podcast have brought the world, at least it's afforded us that opportunity. Thank you for the call. All right, let's play our 6th caller.
Hello, Cameron. Hello, Hyle. I'm calling into the Star Fox Assault episode, and I will say I do love how weird this show and this website is, and I mean that in the best way possible. In that, and we talk about the re-rendered Star Fox games because we found a way to sort of like contort it into being like an appearance by rare characters. Absolutely, I think the Star Fox Adventures should be covered by the site given the development history that you all know about. But I will never accept that like these two Trickies are the same person. I guess it would imply that like Tricky got a lobotomy in between like this game and Diddy Kong Racing because he's just sort of like a boss monster. But hey, I also believe in Donkey Kong the Third, so what do I know? Anyways, 2 things I want to say about the narrative here. But one, I think like the first mission of Assault is expertly crafted in order to like trick you into thinking it's going to be a different game in a way that some people lie that Adventures was like tricking you into thinking it would be Star Fox 64 again. But here they have you fight against Andross's nephew with the idea that it's going to be like another sort of like dogs versus monkeys story. But then he just gets like completely one shot at the Aparoids. I think that, if anything, has become more poignant given how much of a rut the Star Fox series has been in since this game and, you know, later commands. I also love how, like, in love this game is with Starwolf. You know, the idea of, like, the members of Starwolf are being treated as, like, complex people is something that we have not seen again. But I think is good for a series that is kind of character-focused. Even in, like, the SNES game, you have, like, banter between teammates. So it was something to, like, allow the Star Fox series to evolve. And, of course, Crystal being a member of the team supports that, too. I'm not talking about gameplay. I don't care if they take assault-based gameplay or like they do something more like command with different vehicles and stuff. Whatever they need to do to not make Star Fox 64 again for the future of this franchise, I'm fine with it. But I do like some of the narrative changes here, and I wish that those carry over. I want to end off with a question. Star Fox Assault is, I think, a good title. What other crimes could be a good Star Fox title? Like, I think Star Fox Larceny, that has a good ring to it, but any other thoughts? Star Fox Aggravated Assault, that would be a good sequel title. Yeah, any thoughts on that? I'd love to hear if they're taking the call.
Thank you for the call. To Tricky in Diddy Kong Racing, don't forget, WizPig had him under his thrall.
Yeah, as with all the bosses in that game.
The bosses were all good folk. Good, solid citizens of Timbers Island. Even the creepy ones like Bubbler and Smokey. WizPig had them under his spell. That's why in the celebratory scenes at the end, you see them frolicking with the other citizens and heroes of the game. Tricky even has a family, we come to find out at the end of Diddy Kong Racing. So it's not a lobotomy, it's a extraterrestrial wizard pig putting him under a spell. Very similar to what happened when characters were Aparoided in this one. So I'm sure it hit extra close to Tricky, considering his parents died in that conflict. Diddy Kong Racing is just full of pathos when you really know where to look.
As for other Star Fox crimes, well, I'd say Star Fox Grand Theft Auto, but this game's kind of already most of the way there. There's a lot of guns and getting into vehicles.
I was just thinking, I wonder if people have trouble with the controls given that Grand Theft Auto played completely differently. And like that was very much of this era. And so this is just far too loosey-goosey in how it feels compared to Grand Theft Auto, which does kind of balance the on-foot mayhem versus like hopping in a car or bike or helicopter or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. How about Star Fox tax fraud? And that way we can bring Tiny Kong into the story a little bit. I don't know. Like I'm really thirsty for that reunion between adult Diddy Kong Racing Tricky and Fox.
As long as it's not in a game called Star Fox Regicide.
No, but I'm sure Diddy and Fox talked a great deal about Tricky during Subspace Emissary. I'm sure it came up between the cutscenes, in my head at least, in my fevered, delirious imagination. Thank you for the call. All right, call number 7, Cameron.
Hello, DK Vine. This is TJ calling in to talk about Star Fox Assault. This is actually going to be really brief because I really didn't make it that far in Star Fox Assault. When I tried it a few years ago on the GameCube, the controls for the ground foot missions, they never really clicked with me. And what's worse was that I couldn't even go back and customize or experiment with them because I remember the control scheme being tied to your save file. So if I started playing and I didn't like the controls, I'd have to restart the first mission and see all the cutscenes again. And it really kind of burned me from the game. So I'm really hoping that when the game inevitably comes to Nintendo Switch Online, I can take more advantage of, the save states and, just have a better time customizing and getting to sit with the controls until they click with me because I've heard nothing but good things about that game's multiplayer. And I'd love it if I could get, online sessions going with friends and family through the Switch too. Also, I want to be more seasoned when it comes to this series and some of Nintendo's other IP. It's an old game. I already know all the main story beats that happen, so there's not much I can be spoiled on, but, I'd love to just be able to say that I've played through it. So, yeah, thanks for taking the call.
Well, thank you for the call, TJ. I think repeating a lot of the points a lot of other callers had about the controls and the points we had about the multiplayer and what a treat it would be playing online with friends. And yeah, I agree. And like I said, the controls took some time to get used to for me as well. I had never played anything like this prior to my 100% completion, but in just a couple of short weeks, I went from stumbling around mission 2, having a terrible time of it, to getting gold medals in the very last mission of the game, like completely clearing it out. It didn't take long to really get the hang and get into the groove of this at all. So I think with that knowledge, maybe if it does come to NSO, give it a shot. And I think if you have a GameCube controller for the system too, maybe that is the way to go. I don't know how it would play on a pro controller or anything, but
yeah, I think there's a learning curve to the way it controls. I usually try to make myself get used to a game's default control scheme before I relent and just change the options myself.
Yeah.
So I know that I might have a weird perspective on it, but I do at least appreciate that this game gives you options.
Mm-hmm. I fully admit I am usually just shit at video games, especially when it comes to high stress, high reflex button prompts. CRC of Thieves streams whenever we get attacked by another crew for more on that. But I think Star Fox Assault, even though it has that like kind of what feels like a steep learning curve, you will get the hang of it, because if I could get the hang of it, I feel like most people could get the hang of it. Especially a game that doesn't really allow you to luxuriate and just work on your smashing stats for 4 hours straight. Like, this game, you really have to be quick and be nimble. And if I could do it, TJ, I know you're better at video games than I am. So,
yeah, it also does help that the game does have a little bit of auto aim in it.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be the surest shot in the world.
And you can replay missions too. But yeah, hopefully it comes to NSO very soon. All right. Well, I mean, after Star Fox Adventures. So, and honestly, you know, I'm still waiting on Diddy Kong Racing if we're talking about Tricky. But anyway, okay. Call number 8, Cameron.
Hello, this is Chocolate Milk Drinker. I am calling in for the Star Fox Assault, I think, Part 2 episode. I know it's been a while since I've last called in. I'm still in the DKU circle. I recently met Grant Kirkhope at Kansas City Comic-Con. But Star Fox Assault, this game has really had, like, the weirdest aura to me. I don't know how to describe it. It's always had some mystique to me, I think. I do gotta say, Cameron, I think, did a very good job talking about the details of the people behind the game. I really like to applaud that. And honestly, that episode made me pick up Star Fox Assault last night. I just played it by Dolphin. But I've still been playing it. It's a fun time, yeah. I do gotta say that the one thing I don't really like about the game is, honestly, I hate to dish out slander towards Rare, but honestly, I'm not a fan of their Star Fox depiction. I've never been a fan. Crystal ain't even that hot, honestly. I mean, I don't know. I thought Peppy Hare was like a much better character, and honestly, I think their depiction of Star Wolf is kind of lame. I'm not really a fan of Panther and Crystal. I know that's more on Star Fox Command, but I mean, I'm not really a fan of Panther and Crystal. I thought Andrew and Pigma were much cooler villains. I hate to dish out slander towards Rare, but I've never been a fan towards their depiction of the Star Fox characters, even if I recently did get into the game, because I mean, like the younger generation, this new Star Fox is our first venture into it. I mean, I'm still only in high school. I'm just now finishing sophomore year. But, I mean, still, I'm going through the older Star Fox games. I love Star Fox 64. But I absolutely love the gameplay of Star Fox Assault. But I'm just not a fan of Rare's depictions of the characters. I hate to say it, but it's honestly what I think. But, yeah, thanks for taking my call. I really do. I love the game, but I'm just not sure. I'm more divisive on Rare's opinion, on Rare's take on Star Fox. I wish they did keep more true to 64. But that's all I gotta say. I'm not sure how long it is till this Assault Part 2 episode, but bye.
Well, thank you for the call, Chocolate Milk Drinker. It was even longer to Part 3, but here we are. Okay, so first of all, it's not all Rare, because everything in this game was Namco, and they just kind of, as we said, carried the baton from Rare. So, like, Panther wasn't in Star Fox Adventures, and
by the omission of people who worked on this game, Adventures didn't give them a lot to go on for Crystal.
Yeah. And I think it's fair if you like the classic lineup of Fox, Falco, Slippy, and Peppy, or you like the classic lineup of Star Wolf with Andrew and Pigma and No Panther. But I think Cameron and I, and pretty much most of the DK Vine staff, we like when fictional worlds and shared worlds change and events feel like they have real impacts. And I think in any corner of the DKU, it's these 3 Star Fox games that really feel the most drastic when it comes to consequence. And I think there's just a little part of me that just loves seeing how these characters evolve out of these wild, traumatic events, and how the makeup of their teams change and how their relationships evolve. And, it's not for everybody, and that's fair. We all have our favorite eras of any video game series, right? Like, my favorite era of Donkey Kong will always be 94 to 96. That doesn't mean, though, I don't appreciate DK64 for what it is, or the retro era, or especially now Bonanza and the EPD era. It's just a matter of preference, and it's cool. It's cool that you don't like it, because I always value other people's opinions, especially when it's respectful towards what people do like. And you are respectful towards this game, even if you don't like some of the characters. So that's cool. We're cool, Chocolate Milk Drinker.
I think it's totally valid to have the takeaway that you have a preference for the team dynamics as they were in Star Fox 64, because they are really strong dynamics. I think that lineup of Fox, Falco, Slippy, and Peppy is very well defined, and they play off each other very well.
Yeah.
And I think that the original Star Wolf lineup is also very fun. One of the reasons I am a huge cheerleader for people giving Starlink Battle for Atlas a chance is that DLC campaign that features the original Star Wolf lineup and kind of gives them the most material they have ever had, and I just love it to pieces because, yeah, they are a very fun group of characters to have together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, like you, Hyle, I also appreciate that this series can have this sense of time progressing, characters growing and changing, not always being static, and that doesn't always lead to stuff I prefer. It's not always my favorite thing ever, but it does mean you get to take these big swings, and you do get characters I like out of it, like Crystal and Panther.
Yeah. And, I think it is kind of, even though Rare wasn't responsible for this, there is kind of that Rare DNA in it, where Rare never kept things stagnant within their own series. Donkey Kong, famously, they killed off Wrinkly, Crocodile Isle was destroyed, there was kind of a linear progression of the deterioration of the Kremlin crew, and, Diddy's own position changed and grew as his stature and status grew, and, Banjo-Kazooie even, by the time of Nuts and Bolts, the characters had gotten out of shape and they had aged, and Bottle's wife left him. Things like that. I like things like that. And some people just like the reassurance that these fictional animated characters stay the same because nothing else in life does. And it's nice to have that rock to go back to. So I get it. I do get it. But to each their own. And that's what makes talking about this kind of stuff so fascinating to me, is the different perspectives on it. And yeah, Freezer has joined us and says, Jesus Christ, this is still going on.
Yeah, it'll be over soon, I think. I would also, before we play the next call, mention TJ showed up in the chat and clarified, this is embarrassing. In the time since I made this call 2 weeks ago, I have beaten the game.
Yeah!
Good for you, TJ.
Woo!
It's awesome.
I'm glad to hear it. I told you could do it. You just needed to listen to me. Or not listen to me, because it took us several weeks to get to your call. But if you had listened to me, I would feel really good about you seemingly taking my advice, even though you didn't need it. Freezer says, Hyle, you should have made this a single 10-hour episode. I'm going to talk about it, I think, when Matt and I do our Stinky Ape Summer kickoff episode. But do you realize how much the Planet Core episode last year broke me to the point where I don't know how to do DK Vine anymore? I'll explain later, but I feel like that episode marked my own series finale, and now I'm just running on fumes. So I don't want to do that again with anything. It's Freezer says, this is the Frasier 2022 of DK Vine. Never compare me to the Frasier revival. Gee. All right, we're going to play our last call, Cameron, because I've just been compared to the Frasier with adult Frederick. And I don't mean Lord Frederick. I like that guy way more than adult.
That's the second meanest thing I've heard Freezer say this week. There's Red, rather.
All right, let's play call number 9.
Hey DK Vine, this is Claire. I'm back again. I already called in about Star Fox Assault, but I'm here to call in again because I've watched the first 2 Assault highlight podcasts now, and I actually went and I checked out the Japanese animations for the game, and it really does just look a lot better than in the English version. It really sucks that I just accidentally broke the thing, but yeah, and I really like just seeing the characters emote. I really like how upset Fox looks in specifically in Asaria and Corneria mission briefings. It's also really fun how expressive Slippy and Deltino are, particularly. That's right. I think I was going to call about is I don't remember if I mentioned this in my other call or not. That was like a week ago, but Fox does not have my favorite voice for him in this game, but there are two line deliveries from him that I just really like, and I wanted to talk about them. And I don't know if they're line deliveries that other people like. I feel like I've seen people clowning on these deliveries, but I really like the part where he calls the Aparoid queen evil space hag or something like that. Am I remembering that correctly? I don't know. But to me, that's just like, that part is iconic to me. And then another, like, I think maybe one of my favorite line deliveries from Fox in anything is at the very end of the game when it's revealed that Peppy survived his moment of self-sacrifice, and Fox just says, "What's up, Peppy?" Or it's like, that's not, I didn't deliver it right, he died. But it's like, it's just, I love how, like, that moment just feels so sincere to me, because, like, you can tell just, like, how relieved Fox is, but he's just trying to, like, be casual, even though, like, this man who was, like, basically was his surrogate father after his actual father died. Just, he almost just lost, like, his second dad there. And I just really like that moment. Just like, and then just that line delivery. I just think it's not my favorite voice for Fox, but I think that he deserves his flowers for that line alone. So yeah, thanks for hearing my call.
Well, thank you for calling again, Claire. We usually don't take two calls, at least not without combining them, but considering there were several weeks between the two of them, I thought it was warranted. And yeah, I never thought about this until just now, but if Fox McCloud were Batman, then I guess Peppy would be his Alfred and General Pepper would be his Jim Gordon. As surrogate father figures, yeah.
That is the dynamic.
Yeah. In the comics, Alfred is dead now, and he's been dead several years, which is just like, I don't like that. But again, I would be a hypocrite because I just told Chocolate Milk Drinker how much I love change in my fictional media. But anyway, I think Jim Walker, he's not my favorite either, and we've definitely criticized his performance as Fox on this, but he does give some good line readings, and by the end of the game, I do accept him as Fox completely. Like, I buy into it. So I have named my foxes in Sea of Thieves because you can have fox animal companions. I have named all of them after Fox McCloud voice actors, and I do have one fox named Walker.
Yeah, he does have, even though it's not my favorite voice for Fox, and we've had a bunch at this point, he does have a few bright moments, especially of, like, emotional intensity, where this version of the character does just meet the moment.
Yeah.
And yeah, I do remember that "Here I come, you evil space hag" line. That's a fun one.
TJ says, would Tricky be his Robin? Oh, for sure. Absolutely. I guess Crystal would be his Selena Kyle. I don't know if that comparison works.
It's weird that we have a Catwoman in Star Fox, but it's not.
Who's his Clayface? All right, Pigma? No. Pigma becomes gross body horror. I just said the last episode I wouldn't want to see the new Clayface movie because body horror is one of the things that really just makes me feel uncomfortable. But anyway, we're getting beside the point. We can compare DKU characters to Batman characters in a separate episode. I've done it before in the past, but maybe that's something. Anyway, thank you for the call. My God, Cameron, this was supposed to be a single spotlight episode. Here we are, close to the 4-hour mark on part 3 of Star Fox Assault, but I guess it was worth it because we had a lot to say. And when do we get the opportunity to talk about Star Fox Assault? where do you rank Star Fox Assault now?
So we're getting into final thoughts, I
Yes.
guess?
Oh, please.
Yeah. So I've had some version of this written up since we did part 1, but how I feel about Star Fox Assault overall, and it's a game my thoughts have evolved on over time. I know when it came out, even though I did like the game, I did meet it with a lot of friction, because by that point, Star Fox 64 and Adventures had been like my formative Star Fox games, and I was getting into my meet everything with skepticism teen years. So there was a little bit of, I think, the same reaction a lot of people have when they play Assault, which is, well, why did they deviate so much from what Star Fox 64 was? I thought we were getting back to that. Or why are some parts of it too similar? Why so many big creative swings? Why does everyone sound different? That sort of thing. But as I would come to learn time and time again, the history of Star Fox is one of compromise. And Assault is, as much as I do find myself in a place where I love it now, it is an imperfect game, and it does make some controversial choices. But if you meet it where it is and embrace its unique strengths, attempting to do things nothing else in the series really does, there is a lot of satisfying meat to engage with in it. It demonstrates both the risks, but also the even greater potential of a world where there's a Star Fox series that is willing to move unafraid beyond the safe comfort of the Andros conflict as it was depicted in Star Fox 64. And you just have to meet it on its own terms, and there is so much to enjoy about it, so much it does to inform the series, so much that it adds to the tapestry that I genuinely enjoy. And it took me giving it a lot more due time than I did in those initial years to really appreciate the extent of just how much I love what's on offer here. And yeah, I think it demonstrates both the risks, but also the even greater potential of a version of the Star Fox series that's willing to move beyond the safe comfort of the Andros conflict, the way Star Fox 64 depicted it, and the way it played, all of that. And there's so much to enjoy in that I was shocked with the benefit of time to realize I genuinely really loved in this game and appreciated and would love to see continue forward as part of the greater tapestry of the series. And so we've had people I've kind of kept this close to my chest because I really thought this would be something I got into on the first episode. And I felt like I built it up too much. Where does this game rank for me? Well, in the context of the overall Star Fox series and DKU Star Fox, I think I am one of those people where Star Fox 64 just kind of has to sit at the top. It's the boring answer. But it is a game that I think it accomplishes everything it sets out to do. It fires on every cylinder. It has even though Assault has a few things I do prefer, 64 has some things that I think hold their integrity a little bit more. I do think it presents its story in a way that it holds together a little bit more in voice directing and just overall keeping its tone in check, conveying what it wants to convey, and also doesn't run into the localization snafus as often. But I don't feel like there is a distant second or third with Star Fox Adventures and Assault, as much as some people really like to say that they feel that there's a huge gulf. I really don't feel like there's a huge gulf. But I know Star Fox Adventures is a game that means a lot to me. I have a lot of heavy ingrained nostalgia for it. I have a lot of strong feelings about it, despite acknowledging all of its faults. I think one of the things that got me to go on DK Vine was running defense for Star Fox Adventures as a Star Fox game. I just liked what it added to the series so much, even acknowledging it was kind of a puzzle piece slammed in there forcefully. But in terms of, like, do I like Adventures or Assault better? I think about how I describe Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie, where what I usually tell people is Banjo-Tooie is my favorite Banjo game, but Banjo-Kazooie is the best Banjo-Kazooie game. The one I like is messier, and it's not even necessarily the one I want to replay the most, but it is the one that I have more appreciation for, even if it can take swings and miss. And I think I see shades of that in how I feel about Adventures versus Assault. Because Adventures, as much as I like it, I really have been only more and more made aware of how heavily compromised a vision it is because of the development circumstances around it, which nobody can really be faulted for. And I've had the vision of what Dinosaur Planet could have been. I've had the experience of replaying it with the Idaho crew with people who don't gel with the game as much as I do. And it is kind of a game that's, my personal feelings aside, has kind of had to drop in my estimation a little bit. And because of that, in the moment now, with me having revisited Assault because I felt like I had to give it its fair due for this episode turned series, you can probably tell from the fact that it became a 3-part series just what a strong reaction I had replaying it again and finding, oh, everything that I loved about this game back in the day is still here, and there's even more meat I can appreciate, depth that, like, passed me by. And also, with the greater context that the series has largely moved away from this, it's a little wistful to go back to a game like this, which is taking these sort of big swings in the directions I would like to see. So I feel like I could flip-flop on this, but right now, in this moment, what I'm feeling is I think Assault might be my second favorite Star Fox game.
I mean, I agree with that. It is also my second favorite Star Fox game after Star Fox Adventures, which, you know, I'm weird and it's fine. But yeah, I do basically concur with that. Like, Star Fox Assault, it's a little messy, it's a little clunky in places, but God, like, it's so fascinating to me, and it's so much fun to play and get good at. And I don't know, like, I feel like Star Fox 64, we just keep remaking that. We just keep porting it and remaking it and reimagining it, and, like, you pretty much nailed that the first go. Like, shouldn't we be remaking something like Star Fox Assault 3 times over, where it's got so much great stuff in there, but it just misses the mark slightly? And, you know, like, why are we remaking something that pretty much everybody agrees is almost universal perfection? And why don't we remake the stuff that's really good, but doesn't quite get there? Give me something new to complain about, Nintendo. Like, I'm tired about complaining about Star Fox 64 getting remade. It's old. The argument was old 10 years ago. Give me Star Fox Assault for your next 3 Star Fox games, please. Anything you would like to add?
No, I'd echo a lot of your thoughts. I mean, I don't think I've said it on air, but I have said this privately on, like, Discord and such, but I think around last year, I did a comprehensive replay of Star Fox 64, and I enjoyed basically every second of it, really similar to how I feel about Assault after revisiting it, just gained this renewed appreciation for it, even though I already appreciated it a lot, but doing everything, getting that final expert medal, I came out of the experience weirdly wistful and sad, because I had this introspective thought, this game is so good. Why is this unattainable? Why can't we recapture this in a way that's not regurgitating it? And I felt really, really sad at that realization. So you can imagine, fast forwarding a year later, I might have met a certain reveal with a heavy conflict in my heart. I will continue to try to approach anything Nintendo does with this series with an open mind, because at the end of the day, I've always been a Star Fox fan, warts and all, whether it does things I like or don't like. And even if Nintendo does not seem interested in advancing the story beyond of the Star Fox universe, beyond Star Fox Assault, or even beyond Star Fox 64, nothing they do will ever remove Star Fox Assault from the fabric of Star Fox. Because as we discussed, things introduced in games post Star Fox 64 transcend just baseline continuity.
I agree, except I think the way that Nintendo could really put me off of the Star Fox series permanently, I just thought of another one. Star Fox January 6th.
Damn, Star Fox Insurrection would be a good title.
This has been a File 2 production.
Que rico.